For Yah righteousness, Jerusalem, and the Holy See. Peace, everybody. Yah bless to our national and international audience. This is April the 6th, 2022. I hope everybody is in greatest health as possible. And I know everybody is watching this, what's going on in the Ukraine. This has upped the speed, as Yah said, he would hasten it in the time of his servant, bringing on his movement and establishing himself in Jerusalem. It has heightened now to a higher level of haste, speed, if you will. I know many of you, more likely than not, have seen how the propaganda machine of the Illuminati Edomite of the West, you could possibly say, and maybe just it's just the illuminated ones in a sense, period. Definitely the illuminated Leviathan. And when I say Leviathan, I'm referring to YHWH chapter 27 that controls this lord of Babylon and controls the land of Israel at this day. And basically, you know, has the dominion per se, but that dominion is as it has been now for a while, eroding. As Yah said, he would take all the wisdom and understanding out of the mouth of Esau, Edom, right? Out of the mouth of Seir, Basra. That's all of the Edomites, wherever they are on the face of this earth, and definitely those Edomites who are adverse to Yah, our righteousness, the King. Now, like I said, I know many of you are watching this situation, and as I said, now with this Ukrainian war that the bankers have begun, it could very well be that they are attacking their own creation, the monster, the daughter of Babylon, because these sanctions that the United States, the daughter of Babylon, has put forth on Moscow, on Russia, and any other country that's lining up with Russia, which again is China, India. They already had sanctions on Iran and Venezuela. This is exacerbating this situation of economic collapse, okay, and the eroding and the destruction of the dollar hegemony, which was coming anyway, okay. Again, let me just put this forward, because I don't want to forget to tell everybody again, the recognition of Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread begins next Thursday night. When it gets dark Thursday night, that'll be the beginning of Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread recognition. And everybody knows, you know, that's plugged into Yah righteousness for sure. Everybody that's reading and studying the book of remembrance, the so-called Old Testament, and is in harmony with Yah, or desires to be in harmony with Yah, we have to acknowledge the Passover Feast of Unleavened Bread, just like our forefathers did, the 40 years in the wilderness, okay? Again, they had to acknowledge the Passover Feast of Unleavened Bread. Every year they were in the wilderness. And again, this is where we are today. Wherever we are on the face of this earth, we're in the wilderness of the people, as I've said in the past. Because you got some people who are confused about that. They think that we are supposed to leave out of this captivity and go back into the wilderness before we enter into the land of Israel, and that is totally incorrect. Okay, nowhere will you see that the arm of Yah, when Yah brings it back, again, YHWH chapter 52, in the sight of everybody on the face of the earth, it goes straight from the daughter of Babylon, out of the midst of her, YHWH 52, straight to Jerusalem in the sight of everybody on the earth. And this is when your watchmen will all see eye to eye, when Yah brings again Zion on his return, his anointing consecration in the sight of everybody on the face of the earth by his holy name, when he returns to Jerusalem on the head of his arm, Yah, our righteousness, and he will be at our rearward. And again, nobody will return with Yah who's not in total harmony with his laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments, commandments, and precepts. Again, like it says at the back end of chapter 49, Yeshaya, shall the lawful captive be delivered. And he goes on to say, yea, even the captives of the terrible, will be delivered. Okay? Because again, as it says in Yeshaya chapter 27, Yah he's going to humble the Leviathan, this illuminated Amalekite International Bank and Edomite that controls the daughter of Babylon and controls the land of Israel. He's going to humble him just like he humbled Amenophis II and many others. But definitely, again, like it says in Micah 7:15, like according to the coming out of Egypt, it has the similarities to that. It also has similarities to when Yah brought our forefathers out of Babylon. Haggai chapter 2, it'll have similarities to that, but it'll be still its own situation itself. This movement, when Yah brings again Zion, okay, to Jerusalem to set it in the midst of its sisters, Ezekiel 16, to be a comfort unto them, the Sodom and Gomorrah movement, the Demona movement that dwells at the right hand of Jerusalem, Samaria, and the remnants of the 10 tribes, so-called Palestinians, who are in the land, and it'll even be more of them in the land once Yah drives out the descendants of Esau, the Jews who are in the land of Israel today, in Jerusalem, claiming to be Israel, and they are not. They are Jews, they are Edomites, but they are not Israel. And when Yah drives them out suddenly into their land and makes them like the burnings of lime, okay, again, Yeshaya chapter 33, verse 12, Yeshaya chapter 34, and the one chapter of Abijah, right? Yah does it through the fire, which is the house of David, not the house of Jacob, like it says in the one chapter of Abijah. The house of David, the messenger carries the fire. Again, Yeshaya chapter 42, behold my servant, mine elect, in whom my soul delights. I've put my spirit upon him. He shall not fail, nor be discouraged, until he has set truth, judgment in the earth, right? He shall not bruise a reed or quench the smoking flax, right? And the isles wait for his law. Again, you follow me? That's the fire, the one that brings the fire, the stone cut out without hands, right? Daniel chapter 2, right? It's through the messenger that Yah brings the fire, his word, his truth, his illumination. And I'm certain that that truth, that illumination has reached descendants out of the house of Yahoseph, which will be the flame. And they will, as it says in Zechariah chapter 10, remember Yah in far countries and turn again to Yah, right? And we'll understand, we'll say, what have I, what do I have to do with idols anymore, right? And they will turn to Yah, and I'm sure that's already underway, and it's possibly been underway. And they're remembering Yah, turning again to Yah. They will be the flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them. And that's the process that is going on right now, leading up to the judgment of those descendants of Esau, those Jews who are in the land of Israel today, claiming to be the robbers again, claiming to be Israel, right? But are not. Okay. They are the robbers. Again, as Yah so stated in the back end of chapter 42, Yeshaya, when he says, who gave Jacob to the curse? That's the children of Israel, who we are under this curse to this day. And again, the descendants of Jerusalem are under a double curse. YHWH chapter 16, right? And also Yeshaya was in chapter 40, when Yah says, first he will return our sins double, and he's definitely talking about, again, he's talking about Jerusalem, okay? Because of what the descendants of Jerusalem ended up doing. Chapter 40, Yeshaya, verse 2, speak ye comfortably to Jerusalem, and cry unto her that her warfare is accomplished, that her iniquity is pardoned, for she hath received of Yah's hand double for all her sins. Okay, so again, as I mentioned a minute ago, we have to become lawful. We have to obey all of this law. Deuteronomy 30 verse 2, right? And when we submit ourselves totally to obeying the laws, statutes, ordinances, judges, commandments, and precepts of Yah, our righteousness, the King, now we accept of our punishment, Leviticus 26, 40, 41, and 42, for what we have done, right? And this is all part of the refining process, purging ourselves as we are instructed in YHWH chapter 10, Proverbs 3:31, envy not the oppressor, choose none of his ways, learn not the ways of the heathen. Okay, for the customs of the heathen are vain, worthless. That's the process we've been under and are under to this day. Okay, and again, Yah has tightened the chokehold on the inhabitants of the earth, and definitely the economic chokehold on the inhabitants of the earth. And that chokehold is getting tighter and tighter. Okay, people of the earth are being impoverished. Okay, all of these different programs, if you will, 401ks and pension plans, and all the people of the world, definitely in the West, that are holding fiat currencies, okay, in any of these different plans. Again, 401ks, pension plans, and money markets, and bonds, and so on and so forth, stocks, all of that is coming to naught, okay, because again, the dollar has lost its reserve hegemony, okay. The SDR is the world reserve currency now, okay. And with the sanctions that the international banker that controls the West basically has moved against the East, and again, it could be that these illuminated ones are just as they have been coming up through time, causing the chaos, okay, the confusion, all right, amongst the masses of people, to try to keep the people from being able to see truly who they are, what they've done, what they're doing, okay, and what they're trying to do without question. As Yah is steadily exposing them as he said he would. Okay, you see this in the one chapter by you, right? How are thy hidden things, secret things sought up and searched out, O Esau, right? And also in the 47th chapter, Yeshaya, talking about the daughter of Babylon, which is the United States of America, right? Uncover the leg, let down thy locks, make bare, how's it go? Uncover the thigh, make bare the leg, uncover thy locks, uh, cross over the rivers, sit in the dust, O virgin daughter, for you shall no longer be called the Lady of Kingdoms. Well, that's the United States of America. And as I've said different times in the past, the illuminated Edomite would kill everybody here in America to try to destroy Yah, our righteousness movement, the servant of Yah, our righteousness. Okay? And those descendants of Israel who have sought Yah out, and Yah has led to this day those of us who have totally committed and submitted, okay, to obeying the laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments, commandments, and precepts of Yah, righteousness, the King. Okay. Again, this is the only thing that the illuminated Edomites, these international banking Amalekite Edomites, right? The Illuminati, as people know them as per se, but many people don't really understand what the term illuminated or Illuminati means. This is the only thing that the illuminated Amalekite International Bank and Edomites who have the dominion, and their dominion is crumbling as I speak, as the prophecy so spoke of in Daniel chapter 2, right? And also speaks of in Daniel chapter 7. Yah is the only one that they fear. And that should be very prevalent and apparent at this point in time for those of us who are knowledgeable of the word of Yah, our righteousness, the King, and knowledgeable of this book of remembrance, the so-called Old Testament. This is why in the 83rd Psalm, back in 322 BCE, I've said 320 in the past, but, as I've said in the last few years, probably more likely than not, it was 322 when the 83rd Psalm took place. And we see there that the descendants of Esau, it says in that 83rd Psalm, the tabernacles of Edom, right? Esau. They said, let's deal craftily against Yah's hidden ones, because they had gotten a hold of the book of remembrance, as I've said in the past, didn't understand all of it, didn't understand the book of Daniel. Daniel wasn't standing in his lot as being regarded as a prophet of Yah yet. Okay, again, 322 BCE. The book of remembrance had just been put together about 80 to 90 years earlier. Okay, around 421, 422, 420 BCE, during the time of Nehemiah, Nehemiah. We see this in Malachi chapter 3, 15th to the 18th verse. And again, when you go to chapter 1 Malachi, the governor that's mentioned there by Yah is Nehemiah. That's when, they came to understand, because as I've said before, when Nehemiah came back that second and last time, 424, 423 BCE, after the death of Artaxerxes, who had made Nehemiah governor over Jerusalem in Israel at that time. When he returned, he had the book of Daniel with him. And also he had the book of Hadassah, Esther, with him as well. Okay? Those two books were in Persia. Okay? Again, Daniel died in Persia. We don't know exactly when he died. Very well could have died in the latter part of the 6th century BCE. Okay? 506, 502 BCE. We don't know, right? But more likely he might even have gone down to the top part of the 5th century BC, the 400, 499, 498, okay? But he died in Persia, okay? And that's where his book was, in Persia, the book of Daniel, right? Also, we know that Hadassah Mordecai, right? Hadassah's book, so-called Esther, right? They died in Persia, okay? As I've said in the past, the book of Esther begins in 483 BCE, culminates in 473 BCE. You follow? Okay, again, Nehemiah didn't come back the first time, or should I say, he left and went to Jerusalem the first time in 445 BCE. Then he had to return in 433 BCE. 12 years later, he had to be back into Persia. That's the time he set for Artaxerxes. And then I used to think, for those of you who have gone through the website meticulously, you've heard me say that he possibly came back in 426 or 425, but I have since, that he stayed until Artaxerxes' transition. Okay, that's how I see that now. Been seeing it that way now for the last few years, because they were real close friends. But he didn't. I know he didn't attain that book of Daniel until he went back, returned to Persia from 433 to, again, 424. After the death of Artaxerxes, then he left and returned to Jerusalem as governor. This is what you see in the 13th chapter, the last chapter of the book of Nehemiah. And again, he had that book of Daniel with him. More likely he had read that during those years he was there when he had returned to Persia in 433. And he also, I'm certain, read the book of Hadassah Esther as well. And when he returned in 424 after Artaxerxes' death, he had those two books with him. Again, and it's from the studying of those two books with the rest of the prophetic books that they realized, again, Malachi chapter 3, picking it up at like the 12th, 13th verse, right? That now they realized that this captivity was going to be very, very long, and at some point, all of the knowledge of who they were would be taken from them. Their successive generations would eventually come in total darkness. We know that began in 104 BCE. When you get to 104 BCE, you didn't have an Israelite on the face of the earth that knew that they were Israel. And that's the beginning of the 2 days or 2,000 years being totally cut off. And that's what we see at the top of Hosea. Hosea chapter 6, right? In essence, right? After 2 days, right? Yah would revive those of us who sought him in some shape, form, or fashion, right? You see this also talked about in the 44th chapter of Yeshaya. Those of us who would seek Yah, start to seek him, he would pour his spirit upon us. As I just mentioned about chapter 42, Yeshaya. Behold, my servant, mine elect, in whom my soul delights, I put my spirit upon him. Again, others of the descendants of Israel, right, that would seek Yah in some shape, form, or fashion, right, looking for peace and or truth and or righteousness and or equity and or salvation from under this demonic oppressive system that overspreads the earth, this gross darkness, Yeshaya chapter 60, that overspreads the earth, right? Looking for salvation, looking for the true and living creator, you follow me? Would be led to Yah. Some shape, form, be led to this book of remembrance, okay? Even before Yah was established, before Yah our righteousness was established. And again, Yah our righteousness wasn't established until September 1986, 90 years after the seal came off the book. And when I say seal, I'm referencing the first vision Daniel got, 11:36 to 12:10 Daniel. That's the first vision he got. And as we see at the top of chapter 12, many shall awake, right? Yah has Michael, the chief prince, standing to watch over the children of Israel that would seek him out, right? I was having a conversation with YHWH here the other week. YHWH asked me, did I think that it's possibly an angel watching over each descendant of Israel, assigned to watch over each descendant of Israel? Because she, cited over in Psalms where it is written, where it's like, it's thousands of angels, right? And that very well could be, okay? That could be. But we know what it says there in the first vision Daniel got at the top of chapter 12, right? Daniel, Yah has Michael, right? Michael, like the chief prince, the same Michael, it looks to me, that we see in Daniel chapter 10, which was in the third year of Cyrus. Okay, as I've said in the past, we can see angels live a long time because all the angels understand unequivocally that Yah of hosts is the king. He is the most high. They understand that unequivocally. All of the angels are in harmony with Yah. Always have been, always will be. There's no such thing as an outlaw angel. Okay? And again, I say that like that because of how the illuminated Edomites, in attacking this book of remembrance, the things that Yah allowed them to do, right? One of the things was to create this, try to create, this mindset that you have outlaw angels, okay? Which is totally utter nonsense, okay? It's only man, okay, that is recalcitrant and adversarial to Yah, okay? As I said in the past, the illuminated Edomite, when they wrote that, that lie and deception, the New Testament, right, about its idols and whatnot, nonsense. When you look at Ephesians, what is that, chapter 6, 12 to the 18th verse, when it says we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with, what is it, principalities and all that nonsense, with powers of darkness, you know what I'm saying? But it's totally upside down. It's totally incorrect because we do and are wrestling with flesh and blood. And the flesh and blood that we wrestle with individually is ourselves because we're flesh and blood. Okay? And each and every one of us wrestles with our own heart and our own heart's desires, or lack thereof, in a sense, right? Again, Jeremiah chapter 17. What does Yah say? The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? I, Yah, try the heart, the reins of the heart, to give everyone, as I said, according to their desire, according to their ways. Okay? Because you have to desire something before you proceed on trying to bring it into fruition. Right? So each and every one of us individually, right, we wrestle with our own heart. It comes down to what is preeminent in our heart. What is our heart desire? What is our heart's desire? What's preeminent? See, because you got a lot of people, as I was saying to a person yesterday, and I've said to all you in the past, people say all kind of things, all right, about, I've heard it through the years. I'm about the Most High. I'm going to be about God. I'm about the Creator. I'm about Yah. I'm going to always serve Yah. You follow what I'm saying? And different people that have said this to me, man, going back over 40 plus years, nowhere to be found today. Some of them not even on the face of the earth anymore. Okay, they have transitioned. And as I said before, any Israelite who awakened to the fact that they are Israel and they're not here today means that they weren't totally committed and submitted to Yah, our righteousness, the King. Because that's what Yah is in the process of doing. Okay? You understand? Refining those of us who are totally committed and submitted with all our heart and all our soul into serving him. Okay? And as he says at the back end of chapter 54, right? And in other places, right? He will hold our hand. He will lead us, right? He will not let the water overflow us, right? You understand? He's going to feed us when we need nourishment. You know, not only actual foodstuffs, but also illumination, right? Wisdom and understanding, right? That's what basically what 55 Yeshaya is talking about. Come eat, drink, buy milk, buy wine, buy food without money. Why do you spend your money for that which satisfies not, for that which is not bread? Okay, again, it's not talking about actual bread that you chew. It's talking about illumination, knowledge, right? Wisdom is the principal thing, right? So therefore, get wisdom, right? But with all that getting, get understanding, get knowledge. Because wisdom without knowledge, what are you going to apply the wisdom to? And wisdom is the principal thing. And the beginning of wisdom is the fear of Yah, our righteousness, the King. And if you fear him, you're going to obey him. Okay? Because again, we have to learn to love Yah. And again, that term love is also intertwined with cleaving to Yah. If you're cleaving to Yah, you're loving Yah. If you're loving Yah, you're cleaving to him. Just like you see in Genesis chapter 3, right? The wife is supposed, the husband, should I say, is supposed to, when he, finds a wife, Yah brings him a wife like he brought Adam, because there was no mate found for Adam, right? Because most of the women were not in harmony with Yah. And I do mean most at that time, similar to today. But Yah brought a wife to Adam. More likely he was older than her. He knew the law, right? But again, what does it say? A husband is supposed to cleave to his wife or love her, right? And again, a wife's desire is supposed to be to her husband, right? To obey her husband, to serve her husband, and to, as we see in the 31st proverb, what Bathsheba wrote, okay, and said to her son Solomon, or Lemuel, another name Solomon had, right? He had three, right? YHWH, right? Solomon and Lemuel, right? But she wrote this to her son and said this to her son. And it's for all of us to this day and beyond, forever, right? And she talked about the virtuous woman, right? The virtuous woman, the woman that exudes wisdom, right? Who fears Yah, who's in harmony with his law, and who nurtures her household. And, she takes care of her household, her husband, and children when Yah gives them children, right? And that's the kind of wife those men of Israel should desire, right? Because it's also Solomon wrote in Proverbs, beauty is vain, favor is deceitful. The woman that fears Yah, she's the one to be desired, right? So again, and we also see where it says, you know, the when Yah brings a man, a woman that is about him, right? He's giving that man a good thing. See, and he favors that man. So now, right, when we look at Malachi chapter 2, right, and it talks about Israel, the wife of our youth, right? That's the covenant that all Israel entered into with Yah when Yah brought our forefathers out of Egypt. And what was that covenant? That, you know, Yah says that covenant, as he said through Moshe said to our forefathers, that covenant was not only for the descendants of Israel that stood there that day before Yah, right, and entered into an everlasting covenant with Yah, right, that they would do what he said to do. In other words, they would obey Yah with all their heart and all their soul. Again, Deuteronomy 30 verse 2, right? But also it was a covenant for those who were not there, the descendants of the children of Israel forever. That's the wife of our youth, right? That we entered in with he who creates, the King, the Most High, fountain of living waters, the Spirit and creator of all things. Yah of hosts is his name. Yah our righteousness, right? That still holds today and forever. So when a man is to leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, so the nation of Israel are supposed to cleave unto our wife, which is the law. Yah's laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments, commandments, and precepts. We're supposed to cleave to the law, which in turn has us cleaving to our husband, which Yah is. Is he not? He's our husband. And when we cleave unto his laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments, commandments, and precepts, then we're cleaving to him. When we love those laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments, commandments, and precepts, then we're loving Yah, cleaving to Yah with all our heart and all our soul. Humility is before honor. The meek are going to inherit the earth. Okay? We're supposed to be meek, humble. And when I say meek, that doesn't mean we're weak, because the way of Yah is strength. Brother said to me the other day, he said, Yoda, but it's hard. I said, I know it. Yah didn't say it was going to be easy. Go to YHWH chapter 44. He didn't say it was going to be easy. He said, be strong and of good courage. Has not he said that he is he who creates? He's the Most High. He's Yah of hosts. He's the King. Is there anyone else that could save us out of the trouble that we are in today? Is there anyone else that can save the world and the inhabitants thereof, this whole earth and the inhabitants thereof, out of the trouble that it's in today with environmental, ecological collapse? And I'm going to read you something about that a little later on that I've got, you know, in the articles. Okay? Nothing new, but it's exacerbating. Okay? It's getting worse. Only Yah can save not only Israel out of this horrendous, vexing, afflicting captivity that we've been in all our lives, that we've been under now for over 2,700 years, all Israel, you know, over 2,500 years, right? Started with the 10 tribes, and then eventually, as Yah said, it was a harvest coming for Jerusalem and Yehudah, Benjamin. For those of you who know the word of Yah. Okay? So again, it's reciprocitous, right? We cleave unto our wife like a husband is supposed to do, being the nation of Israel, members of the nation of Israel, the Israelite. Okay, we're supposed to cleave unto the wife of our youth, the covenant that we entered into, our forefathers. And again, that covenant is not only with those who were there that day, but those who were not there. And that's the descendants of Israel forever, right? The wife of our youth, the laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments, commands, and precepts of Yah. We're supposed to cleave to our wife, the laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments, commandments, and precepts of Yah. And in turn, Yah is our husband. And then when a wife is serving her husband, when her desire is to her husband, when she's doing all she can, as Bathsheba said in that 31st proverb, right? Tending to her household, building her household, making sure her household is taken care of, right? Starts with her husband, right? You understand? Her, the children, when Yah gives them, right? She takes care of her household. She looks well to the ways of her household. See, that's a virtuous woman, a virtuous wife. Now, last session, we were talking about multiple wives. I think it was Othniel that brought up in the Q&A about Caleb having what, 3, 4 wives. Well, again, when you go to that First Chronicles chapter 2, that's not talking about the Caleb of the time of YHWH. You got about 3 different Calebs, right? The Caleb during the time of YHWH, his father was YHWH. Okay, the Caleb that's over there in First Chronicles, his father was Hezron. So, you know, and then you got another Caleb, okay, that's mentioned. So you got to be careful, you know, when you're reading this thing. I mean, it's because it's been attacked and it's been discombobulated in certain areas as far as the names and whatnot. And then we also know, right, that you had different generations that had the same, you know, it was the same name that popped up, you know, like, you know, say Caleb had a son, and then his son had a son. He named him after his father. You know, that we see similar things of this nature. But you had about 3 different Calebs over here in First Chronicles chapter 2. Okay, you have to discern it, you know, because again, you in verse 50, as I'm looking at here in chapter 2, First Chronicles, you got a Caleb, the son of Hur. Well, that's not the Caleb that was back there with YHWH, because that's, you know, like I said, his father was named YHWH. See, so you got to be careful, you know, and it seems as though again, you've got a Caleb, like I said a minute ago, who was the son of Hezron, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Verse 18, and Caleb the son of Hezron, right, begat children of Azubah his wife, and Yeraioth, okay, another wife, right? Her sons are these, Yesher, Shobab, Arden. Verse 19, and when Azubah was dead, Caleb took unto him Ephrath, which bare him her. See, so again, this is the Caleb who is the son of Hezron. You see what I'm saying? Now, it looks like, you know, possibly, you reached out, and when we were talking about multiple wives, you thought this was the Caleb of Yahushua's time, but it's not. Now, insofar as his wives, what, 2, 3 wives possibly he had, we don't see any kind of acrimony and animosity. It's not talked about, you know, how the wives got along or not or whatever. right? In this case, again, and a lot of times this happens because one is just trying to substantiate, right, a certain mindset. And in this situation, we were talking about, again, how many wives are too many wives for a man, right? And as I said before, we see the law of 2 wives. We don't see a law of 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, right? And again, when you look at the Proverbs chapter 31, what Bathsheba said to Solomon, Lemuel, her son, right? Again, and let's just, let me go over here and give you the essence of what I'm actually referring to. And I know many of you, if not all of you, read it, right? The words of Governor Lemuel or Solomon, right? Because Yah is the king, right? The prophecy that his mother taught him, Bathsheba, right? What my son and what the son of my womb and what the son of my vows, give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroys governors, princes, men. Okay? You see? Right? He said, it was, what did she say to him? And what did he write? It is not for governors, for sure, right? O Lemuel, it is not for governors to drink wine, nor for princes strong drink, right? Because we know governors, right, when they're on the throne, they're supposed to read in the book of the law every day, right? Because they're issuing out judgment. But also, they're not supposed to partake of wine, okay, lest they pervert the law. Right? That's what she's saying to him. Right? And that's what he ended up doing, did he not? Built 3 idols. Even though David was, weakened by women, the multitude of women that he had, he never built any idols. He always, returned to Yah. You know what I'm saying? When he got out of harmony, to whatever degree, he still feared Yah. He still understood unequivocally that Yah was the Most High. Solomon, right? He went astray from that. He built 3 idols for his women that took away his heart. And again, don't we see this in what is it, Hosea chapter 4, right? I mean, this is spoken of, is it not? In Hosea chapter 4. And I'll read it to you, right? What I'm specifically talking about, right? Verse 10, for let me just go back a little bit. Okay, I'm going to go back to verse 6 in chapter 4, Hosea, right? My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. This is Yah talking to Israel, Yisrael, right? I will also reject thee, that you shall be no priest to me, seeing you have forgotten the law of thy strong one. I will also forget thy children. As they were increased, so they sinned against me. Therefore will I change their glory into shame. They eat up the sin of my people, and they set their heart on their iniquity. And there shall be like people, like priests, and I will punish them for their ways and reward them their doings. For they shall eat and not have enough. They shall commit whoredom and shall not increase, because they have left off to take heed to me. This is Yah talking. Whoredom and wine and new wine take away the heart. Isn't that the same thing what Bathsheba was saying to Lemuel, Solomon, her son, that he wrote in that 31st proverb? So again, when we look at the law, right, in Deuteronomy 17, and it talks about how, the governor, right, shall not multiply wives to himself. Right? Right? Isn't that right? I'll pick it up at verse 14. And matter of fact, let me just go back because I got this underlined, right? Because again, you know, I pray for, you know, that Yah cleanses our soul of secret faults and keep us back from presumptuous sins and let them not have dominion over us. So I'm in Deuteronomy 17. I just picked this up at verse 12. And the man that will do, or woman, right, that will do presumptuously and will not hearken unto the priest that stands to minister there before Yah thy strong one, or unto the judge, even that man shall die, or woman, right? And thou shalt put away the evil from Israel, and all the people shall hear and fear, and do no more presumptuously, when thou art come unto the land which I give thee, and shall possess it. This is Yah talking through Moshe, right? And shall dwell therein, and shall say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are about me. Thou shalt in any wise set him. Now it says king, okay, right? And again, we know that's what they asked for with Saul, 1 Samuel 8. Yah gave him that. But as he says over in, was that Hosea? I gave you a king in my anger. I took him away in my wrath, because Yah is the king. See, and we do see Yah set up governors, and he always had that in his mind to raise up governors. We see this in Genesis 49, do we not? Right? We see it again over in Samuel. Okay? Right? That he would raise up, right, a righteous priest, high priest, to walk before his anointed governor, right, prince, that he would make captain over his people, right, forever. Right? That's over in 1 Samuel. Correct? But I'm just going to keep on reading here. I'm back here in Deuteronomy 17. Right? And he says he would set up, and in essence, it's a governor, right? You understand? Over Israel, whom he would choose, right? One from among thy brethren shall you set governor over thee, right? You mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. Now, this is kind of convoluted because, again, this is written by the adversary. See, but in actuality, it's Yah that chooses, not the people. We see that when we go to the so-called book of the kings, which it should be called first, second book of the governors. It's only when these descendants of David, or when the nation was split, right? Whatever governor they set over, which they looked upon as more likely than not king, was wrong, because they set this person over them. When it's Yah that's supposed to set, they're supposed to go to Yah. He is supposed to set who and whomever he desires over the people, not the people. Okay? Now, verse 16. But this governor shall not multiply horses to himself. You know, like we see people with vehicles today, a multitude of vehicles. You know what I mean? Can't drive but one, but they got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You know what I'm saying? We see a lot of this with, you know, those of us who have acquired economic prowess, right? You know, definitely many of these entertainers of us, right? And multiple vehicles, right? You know, and some other people that do it too. Edomites do it too. You understand what I'm saying? But, you know, you understand what I mean? You see what it says here. Shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt. Again, we're never supposed to return to Egypt, right? To the end that he should multiply horses. For as much as Yah has said unto you, ye shall henceforth return no more that way to Egypt, right? Also, verse 17, neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold, that his heart turn not away, right? Again, in what I just read in Hosea 4th chapter. Same thing what Bathsheba said, 31st proverb. Okay? And that's any man or woman, but definitely the man, right? And every man should be, he's the man of his house, representative of YHWH of hosts. Quite naturally, any woman that he, you know, attaches himself to has to be about Yah as well. Is that not right? Again, two cannot walk together unless they are agreed. Amos 3:3. Is that not right? See? And again, a man is supposed to take care of his wife. Don't we look to Yah to take care of us? Isn't that right? His wife. Isn't that what Israel is? When Israel is obeying all of the laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments, commandments, precepts of Yah, our righteousness, the King. See, but you have many Israelites, they want to give Yah 50%, but they want 100% back from him. Right? It's kind of like what Yah is saying in Ezekiel 16 at the top. Your father was an Amorite, your mother was a Hittite. Right? When you understand, he's specifically talking about Jerusalem, but you know, all Israel eventually did this, basically, right? They went away from Yah. See, committing fornication with idols and images, stocks and stones, as it is to this day. And the people of the earth as well, right? Committing fornication with stocks and stones, idols and images of whatever. Religions. And all religions are wrong, created by man or men. Religions have nothing to do with Yah righteousness, the King. Yah changes not. Malachi 3:6. Yisrael got kicked out of the land. They got this per se, right? We know it's always been some Israelites on the land, like the so-called Palestinians still to this day, right? Started to being called Palestinians in 135 CE AD, right? When the Romans kicked the Jews, the Edomites, out of the land. That's when their diaspora began. Malachi chapter 1. When Esau, the Edomite, said, though we are impoverished, we shall return and build the desolate wastes, right? And we know they started coming back in 1897, definitely when they saw us starting to awaken in 1896. Because again, the Edomites, and definitely the illuminated Edomites, and there's many Edomites that have illumination, but definitely these illuminated Amalekite International Banking Edomites who are totally adversarial to Yah. Again, Exodus 17, right? Numbers chapter 24. Right? Isn't it Numbers 24? Pretty sure. Where Yah spoke about the end days through Balaam, the son of Beor. And what did Yah say? Right? In chapter 24. I'll pick this up. Verse 14. Right? And now, behold, Balaam is talking to Balak, the king of Moab, who had sent for him, right? And Yah is coming through Balaam. He had already come through him with two prophecies. Now he's coming with showing, advertising to him what's going to happen the latter days, which is today and beyond, right? And now, behold, I go unto my people. This is Balaam talking to Balak, the king of Moab. Come, therefore, and I will advertise thee what this people, talking about the children of Israel, shall do to thy people in the latter days, the Moabites, right? And he took up his parable and said, Balaam, the son of Beor, has said, and the man whose eyes are open hath said, he had said, which heard the words of Yah, and knew the knowledge of the Most High, which saw the vision of the Almighty falling into a trance, but having his eyes open. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star, a prince, in other words. That's what the star is representative of, right? The prince, the governor, the seed of David, that Yah said he would raise up, the stone cut out without hand, right? There shall come a prince, a star, out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab, and destroy all the children of Shem. And Edom shall be a possession. Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies. And Israel shall do valiantly. And out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, and shall destroy him that remains of the city. And when he looked on Amalek, that's the Amalekite descendants of Esau, right? He took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, as they've been now for definitely over a century. Okay, as they are now, but their dominion is eroding as I speak, right? And this is what the Amalekite Edomite is trying to hide, trying to keep himself hid. See, but Yah, as he's been doing through Yah our righteousness since 2006, really 2004, right? When the flyer, the publication went out and the monarchies were sprinkled. YHWH chapter 52. Yah started to reveal the descendants of Esau, right? Definitely these Amalekite International Banking Edomites, right? Started to, as he said he would do, how are thy secret things, hidden things sought up and searched out, O Esau? See? And the illuminated Edomite knows this. That's why he's trying to keep the people, you know, from being able to right themselves, to be able to see clearly, okay, with the things he's been doing to the people. And they've picked up speed, right? Again, you know, the, you know, printing out a bunch of currency in the 90s, the roaring 90s, like it was the roaring 20s, right? The roaring 90s under Clinton, right? Here in America, you know, Bill Clinton, right? People allowing people to get things, right? Printing the paper, putting it out there, allowing people to get loans that they didn't really qualify for, right? Where they really couldn't maintain the payments, right? Just giving them, you know, anybody money, giving them, allowing them to buy properties and whatnot, right? Allowing them to pull equity out of their properties, right? You understand that they could go and, you understand, party and, you know, take trips. You understand what I'm saying? Then what did he do? He attacked them with in the NASDAQ in 2001, collapsed that, and took plenty money from not only Israel but other people as well, right? And through many people who had, you know, money invested into the NASDAQ, took their money, 2001, right? Right. Also, that same time, they attacked Argentina. You know, their whole economic system collapsed, right? Follow me. I've talked about that in the past, right? You know, just, you know, threw them in an economic collapse, right? And then in 2008, did the subprime collapse, attack the people again, you know, another left-right combination to the chin, right? You know, a George Foreman right and a Joe Frazier left hook, right? And you follow what I'm saying? You know, boom, 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 boom. That's how he does it, right? Hitting the people, right? And hitting them economically, hitting them mentally. You follow me? Through millions and millions of people, not only Israel, but people, period, into debt, right? Debt. Chokehold getting tighter and tighter around people's neck. Okay? Then, you understand, He's encroaching. They've been encroaching on the Ukraine. You understand what I mean? They made a verbal deal, the West did, with Moscow. You understand, Russia, in 1990. Wasn't on paper, it's just a verbal agreement. NATO wouldn't encroach upon Ukrainian territory, Russian territory. But what do we see prophetically in Jeremiah chapter 50:51, talking about this daughter of Babylon, the United States of America, abundant on many waters, right? We know they got over 800 military bases around different places on the face of the earth, right? They steadily building military bases, right? Okay, so then what do we see? In 2014, right? The Illuminated Edomite of the West, NATO, right? They couped, the CIA couped the duly elected Ukrainian president, elected by the people. They couped him. They put this, what's his name, Poroshenko in. I think I got it right. Poroshenko was his name. They had him in there, right? And then things started to change in Ukraine. And they started building biolabs. Saw this on RT just here a few weeks ago. RT International. Because again, what do we see? Let me just lay this on you. And we've talked about this before, right? You go back to World War I. What made America supposedly join World War I? Because the Germans sunk the Lusitania. And again, this World War I totally perpetrated by the Illuminated Amalekite International Bank and Edomites, attacking the German economy because Germany was becoming a power, economic power, right? So you understand, they perpetrated this war in Europe, and then Germany was winning the war, but to save and to get more control of Europe, the European nations in this World War I, right? The Illuminated Edomite brought America in, supposedly at the sinking of the Lusitania. When the Germans, as I've said in the past, had told America, we know you bringing weapons on these, luxury liners, these ships, supposed to be, civilian ships. You sending weapons over here to London, to the UK, right? So we ain't gonna allow you to keep sending weapons and stuff over here to the, to Britain on these civilian luxury liner ships. So you better stop sending, because if you keep sending, we're gonna sink them. So they sent the Lusitania over there, they sunk it, and then all of a sudden, America's brought into the war, and that is what ended up defeating Germany, right? But now they got these nations in debt, the bankers, right? Because when you're in war, right, like General Smedley Butler said, war is a racket. Always basically has been, and that's what it is. People want more. And we see this characterized in Daniel chapter 11, verse 38, 39. Do we not? They shall cause this strange idol to rule over many. See? Again, Jeremiah chapter 25. What did y'all say? Verse 14 to 33. I'm going to bring a sword on the inhabitants of the earth that's going to drive them mad. The people of the earth, right? Drive them mad, right? Well, who the sword bearer? Genesis 27. What was the prophecy put on Esau and his descendants? They would live by their sword. They would get the dominion. Eventually, they would get the dominion on the earth. First, they broke the yoke of Israel off their neck, but it took them a long time to rise to the dominion of the earth, which didn't take place until this fourth dominion of man, the diversified dominion. And as you come up through this fourth dominion of man, right, that, we could definitely say began at the the finality of the battle of Actium, 31 BCE, right? Definitely now it's, you understand? It's the fourth dominion of man. With Octavian, Augustus Caesar, grandnephew of Julius Caesar, right? Because again, Octavian is the little horn that popped up on the head of the fourth beast, right? Speaking great things against Yah, started to wear out the saints of the Most High. Okay? And that wearing out of the saints have carried through from Octavian's time all the way up to this day in this fourth dominion of man, the fourth beast, the diversified beast from its inception. And again, diversity is its strength and its weakness. Daniel chapter 7. Okay? Now, the illuminated bankers, right, created Christianity to keep the people of the world in darkness. They created Islam. They had already created Hasidism that ended up becoming Judaism. Religions to keep the people cut off from Yah. Again, 83rd Psalm. Let's deal craftily against Yah's hidden ones. And what was the weakness of Israel? Not keeping the covenant, the wife of our youth, not obeying Yah's laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments, commandments, precepts with all our heart and all our soul. Deuteronomy 30 verse 2. They got to the place where they thought they knew more than Yah. Like most of them today think that same way. So when Yah says through Moshe in Deuteronomy 17, it's not for governors to multiply wives unto themselves. When we see what Yah says in Hosea chapter 4, whoredom and wine and new wine take away the heart. When we see what Bathsheba, who had already experienced this with Solomon's father, David, how he multiplied wives unto himself. And we see what the multiplication of these wives did to David. It took away his heart at one point, right? Where he put himself before Yah in the matter of Uriah the Hittite. Who knew that better than Bathsheba? Because she's the one he did it. he did it for. He departed from Yah, put himself before Yah, put her before Yah, and sinned egregiously. And what does it say in 15th chapter of First Governor, so-called First King? What did Yah say? David was perfect with me all the days of his life, except in the matter of Uriah the Hittite. And again, we're not just clear on whether Bathsheba actually was betrothed to Uriah, right? And the way it looks, she wasn't his wife with, through conjugal relationship yet. That's why he didn't go down to his house. He said that twice a day. I go down, lay with my wife, because again, we know the law, right? You get a new wife, right? You can't go out to battle for one whole year. You got to stay with your wife, cheer her up, lest you get killed in battle and somebody else takes her, right? But we know David took her before Uriah's death, and he was the one that sent Uriah to his death. And again, this is a Hittite, a Canaanite, one of the mighty men, number 37 on the list, if I remember correctly. That's the only way David could get him out of his house. That's why David didn't go out to battle, leading the army of Yah, as he was supposed to do. Because he was the light. Doesn't it say that? You know, when he almost got killed in one of the battles, the army wouldn't let him go out with them no more. Less, what did they say? Lest you extinguish the light of Israel, because y'all working through him. Correct? So David put himself before Yah about because, should I say, of the desire of his heart. He desired this woman, right? But he already had, 10 wives? 8, 9? You know what I mean? I can't keep up with them all. I mean, but he had a plethora of wives. I mean, because again, who actually made up these 10 wives that Absalom took of David? That when Yah brought David back, to experience where he couldn't deal with any of these 10 women anymore, because that he went wrong when he brought Michal to him, because Michal was defiled. And again, as YHWH brought to me, it looks like, again, because it says Michal didn't have children. I didn't allow her to have children. And again, why would he bring her back if he ain't going to have intercourse with her? And I'm like, hey, I can agree with that. I can see that. You follow what I'm saying? That's why I said Yah wouldn't give her a child. Why? Because she's defiled. David should have never had her brought back. And again, to bring her back to him when he already got 6 wives already now. So what is this? David don't want to be hurt again, or what? I mean, he's just becoming where he wants these women. We can only speculate what his true heart was, but we can see what he did. He multiplied wives to himself, and it weakened him. Did it not? Again, what does Yah say in so-called 1 Kings, first book of the governors, chapter 15? David was perfect with me. He kept me first all the time, except in the matter of YHWH. That's when he put himself before me, which is idolatry. Right? When Moshe says in Deuteronomy, we're supposed to keep this law, right? The wife of our youth before our eyes, like frontlets, right? In Proverbs chapter 3, what does it say? We acknowledge Yah in all our ways, and he directs our path. That's keeping the law before us. We are supposed to acknowledge that law in everything. And anything that comes to our heart that's outside of the law, that's incorrect with the laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments, commandments, and precepts of Yah, we are not supposed to partake of. How simple is that? And again, I'm not saying all of you out there, just like me, know every law. I saw where it's 619. I just saw here the other day in the article I read from these papers that Benaiah and Zacchaeus sent here. This in the Jerusalem Chronicles, the newspaper. The writer, the editor says it's 613. I've never counted them, but none of us know all 613 or 19 by heart. But we got the book, right? We've got the book. So whenever we have any kind of, duplicity or doubt, apprehensions about a thing, we got the book. We know where to go to find out. Right? What does Solomon say? The wisest man ever. Things are established. What? In counsel. Right? What does Solomon write in his supplication? You understand? We supposed to turn toward that city. The house ain't there, but the city is Jerusalem. City called by Yah's name, Jerusalem. Because I was talking to a Palestinian here a couple of weeks ago that I had given a flyer about 3-4 weeks earlier, and I saw him again, and he read it and probably brought up the movement and listened to some of it, and he was adamant about Jerusalem. When I said, well, it's Yahweh, it's Jerusalem, you know what I mean? Okay, he was adamant about it. And when I sensed that this, he was adversarial, and, I could see he done checked, because he told me he was going to read it, and he did. And more like I said, went in the internet and brought up the movement and listened to some, but he's adamantly against it. When I sensed that, I left off. I like, right on, bro. Okay. You follow what I'm saying? Because again, it's not in my job description, right? To try to convert, convince, recruit or reform anybody. And when I see that adversarialness, right? Again, right? You understand? Ephesians is the opposite of what Esau put in Ephesians chapter 6. We are battling with flesh and blood, and the flesh and blood is our own heart. YHWH chapter 17. Right? The heart is deceitful. Right? Above all things, desperately wicked. Who can know it? Yah, our righteousness, tries the heart of everyone. The reins of the heart of everyone. Whether you Israelite, Hamite, Shemite, Yephite, Edomite, whoever you are. He tries the heart, the reins of the heart, to give everyone, as I said, according to their desire, according to their ways. Recompense. And this is again why we are seeing, right, the illuminated Edomite, right, and everybody that's a widow. I don't care what your nationality is. Recompense. See? Because again, as I said about the Lusitania, right? They perpetrated that to bring America and the people of America, the daughter of Babylon, into the First World War, right? Where they got the illuminated Edomite, the Illuminati bankers, Illuminati Amalekite bankers, right? They got nations in debt to them. That's what war does. Eats up, your economics, your finances, your wealth. Eats it up. And there's the Illuminati Amalekite International Bankers standing right there ready to give you a loan. Right? 20%, 30%, 50%. You understand what I'm saying? Get his teeth sunk into your vein, sucking up your lifeblood, your wealth, your assets, your natural resources. You follow me? So now, right, World War II perpetrated, right? They're encroaching just like they've been doing on Russia and China with these bases all around the borders of Russia and China. That's what they was doing in the Ukraine with setting up these biolabs. Like I said, I saw this. They had about a 30-minute expose on it on RT International here week before last. Bioweapons and the truth. Okay? And they talking about these bioweapons they would send up into Ukraine, sending little mosquito drones over into Russia, infecting people over there with pathogens. All kind of mess. You understand? This illuminated Edomite of the West, or the daughter of Babylon. You understand? That's sitting over there in the UK. You understand? That's got his hooks in Germany to whatever extent, France, and so on and so forth. You follow me? That's what they attacking, right? The Russians, the Chinese. And again, the Chinese could very well be the Moabites that I just touched on in Numbers chapter 24, right? Before I got into, you understand, this again. What does it say? And I'll pick this back up at verse 20 in chapter 24, Numbers. And when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end shall be that he shall perish forever. Okay? You can read the rest yourself there in the 24th chapter, Numbers. I'm just highlighting the Amalekites. And this is what the Amalekite, Edomite, international banking, you understand, Edomites know. They know this. They fighting for their life. That's why I said they'll destroy everybody here, and the monster that they created to destroy, Yah righteousness, to keep these, you understand, descendants of Israel who have sought Yah out and turned to Yah. And not only Israel, but other people. Because again, Yeshaya chapter 60, right? What does it say? The earth is in darkness. The people of the earth in gross darkness, right? But the Gentiles shall come to thy light. See? And in our near future, kings and queens are coming to the brightness of the rising of Yah righteousness. When Yah judges these Edomites, these Jews who are over in the land of Israel today, claiming to be Israel and are not. Right? You understand? Yeshaya chapter 33. He's going to suddenly make those Edomites run away from her. Right? And more specifically, in that suddenly make them run away, Jeremiah chapter 49, verse 19. Right? Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 44. He gonna, just like, you know, they came in from the swelling of Jordan to the habitation of the strong. That was back in 587, 86. At the destruction of Jerusalem. Jerusalem was put under siege by, you understand, Nebuchadnezzar and the Chaldean Babylonians and a lot of these other nations was with them, Moabites, you understand, Ammonites, what have you, right? Well, the Edomites was with them then too. They came up from the swelling of Jordan to the habitation of the strong, right? But what did y'all say? But I shall suddenly make him, right? 49:19, Jeremiah, is them in 50:44, Jeremiah, right? The Edomites suddenly run away from her, Jerusalem, Israel. That's what we waiting on. And he gonna run them into their land, the land of Seir, Basra, south of the Dead Sea, where they more than likely got their nuclear weapons in the clefts of the rock, in the caves down there. That's where they're going to run to, their God. Right? And that what it say in Daniel chapter 11, was that verse 39? In their stronghold, they worship the idol God, little G-O-D, of forces, weaponry. And that's where they're going to run. That's where you're going to run them to. What they put their trust in, weaponry. Like you got many people in the world today, definitely over here in America, other places too, but we seeing gun violence constantly, right? Because Esau, you understand, putting the guns out, been putting the guns out now for years, okay? Last like 40 years, 45, he been putting the guns out, you understand? Putting the guns out, especially in our communities, right? Even now, let you get a gun card, let you get a gun. Males, females, right? And they're afraid, so they get them a gun, right? And they want a gun that shoots 100 times, you know what I mean? 60 times, you know. Like my man tell me, like, yo, they got the gun with the like the you know, the big barrel on it, or what, you know, the what they call the drum. Hold all that, they want a lot of shots, and I've heard them right outside here, you know. You understand? A few months back, shot a guy across the street, young boy. And it sounded like a little war out there. It sounded like it was about at least 30, 35 shots. Okay, and many of you, I know you heard about what happened in Sacramento. I got that, you know, in the articles today too. I'll touch on that. But the point being is the illuminated Edomite has done this through his tentacles, dispersed these weapons out here. Because the people are afraid. That's why you get your guns, because you're afraid. See, but the guns don't protect anybody. Like my man said, we see them all the time, you know, with the gun on them, brains blown out. Gun in their belt or laying right there next to them. We see it with soldiers, don't we? With their Kevlar on. Just look at some of these pictures they showed to Ukraine. But again, like I said, World War II perpetrated. They attacked a Japanese freighter. I've said this in the past. I saw this on ABC years ago with Peter Jennings. Okay? They did a thing about leading into World War II. and how it was an American battleship that attacked the Japanese freighter. It was already encroaching on Japanese territory in the Philippines. They already had embargo sanctions on them where it was interfering with them getting oil. Sound familiar? So when they attacked the freighter, they knew the Japanese was going to attack Pearl Harbor. They let that happen. To what? To draw the people of America into World War II. And they're the Illuminati, Amalekite, International Bank, and Edomites sitting right there giving nations loans again, getting them deeper, deeper into debt, sinking their teeth deeper into their neck and sucking the lifeblood of that nation, into them. You understand what I mean? Natural resources, economics. That's why the Illuminated Edomite keeps wars going. That's why they are, they live by the sword, right? What does the sword do? Go to Ecclesiastes chapter 12. What did Solomon, the wise man ever would be say? You understand? Remember the days of darkness, for they shall be many, right? What did Dawid tell Solomon? I go the way of all the earth, right? I'm getting ready to transition. I'm getting ready to die. So show thyself a man and keep, in other words, keep this light lit of Yah and obey his laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments, commandments, and precepts with all your heart and all your soul. As long as you with Yah, he's going to keep you. He's going to bless you. But if you turn away from Yah, you through. Just go there to the first governor, so-called first king, and read what Dawid said to Solomon. You follow me? That's what he's saying to him. Show thyself to be a man. See, again, meekness, but not weakness. We are, those of us who are totally committed to Yah, circumcised in the foreskin of our heart to Yah with all our heart and soul, forever. You understand? We travel the path of meekness, but not weakness, because we've got total and utter confidence in Yah. Again, what did Yah say in the 54th chapter of Yeshua at the back end? He creates the waster to destroy. That brings forth the instrument out of the fire, right? To destroy, right? He said no weapon formed is going to be able to hurt thee. See, we don't go get no gun, okay? Machine gun or whatever kind of gun. Bombs and bullets. Yah is our strength and shield. But in order to get full reciprocity from our husband, being his wife, we have to be totally committed and submitted to taking care of our wife. Cleaving, right, to our wife, which is the wife of our youth. Malachi chapter 2. The laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments, commandments, precepts of Yah righteousness the King. We have to put perverse lips far from us and perverse ways. Again, we acknowledge Yah in all our ways, and he directs our path. Proverbs chapter 3. We wear the law with the statutes, ordinances, judgments, commandments, and precepts before our eyes like frontlets. Deuteronomy. Now what Moshe said to our forefathers. We acknowledge Yah in all our ways. He directs our path. Anything that's outside of the law, anything that's not in harmony with Yah, right? We don't partake. We don't indulge. Whatever you're not sure about, we got the book of the law. We go in here and search it out, right? That's why Yah brought forth this Yah righteousness, right? You got the telephone number, right? But if you too prideful, if you too egotistical, if you too arrogant, if you too full of yourself where I ain't got to call Yah righteousness and inquire and ask about this, then fine, you go on and whatever, okay? The best thing you can do is always pray to Yah. Humble yourself. As I said before, I know plenty of people out there ain't humbling themselves, getting on their knees and praying to the Most High. You understand? You understand? Humbling themselves toward Jerusalem, the city called by Yah's name, right? Daniel chapter 9, Jeremiah chapter 25. Like I said, my Palestinian brother, right? Jerusalem. He is Jerusalem. I'm like, okay. You understand what I mean? See, because he in idolatry. And that's why what's happening to them, is happening to them too. Because they Israel. They're under the curse. See, but like I said, I'm not trying to convert, convince, recruit, or reform. That's not in my job description. I'm just a conduit that Yah works through, brings forth his light, right? The illumination. Isn't that what Jerusalem is supposed to do? Break its clods, remove the stumbling blocks, Yeshaya chapter 57, out of the way of the people. Break its clods over there in Zechariah. Plow the ground, remove the stumbling blocks, the stumps, right? To raise up the signs and turn them in the right direction. Raise the signs that the illuminated Edomite has taken down, turned around, going backwards. You know, like that junk over, the New Testament. I mean, the New Testament, right? Garbage. See? And once you understand, if you read the book from Genesis coming through like a book is supposed to be read, I guarantee you, if you really in search of the Most High, and you start in Genesis, start reading and coming through, you'll see the New Testament before you get to the end of Malachi, and know it's a bunch of garbage over there. Got to be. Okay. Because again, when you pay particular attention to Deuteronomy 32, what you see there. What did Moshe tell our forefathers, tell the children of Israel before he transitioned? You understand? You're going to go across this Jordan. First, you're going to inherit the blessing. You're going to get houses you didn't build. You understand? Vineyards you didn't plant, right? Wells you didn't dig. You're going to wax and rich in silver and gold. But as time goes by, your offspring going to turn away from Yah, and they're going to start worshiping new idols, new images, newly raised up, not Yah, but devils. And that's 1400 BCE. Okay? When did Christianity rear its head? 270 CE AD. When did it get legalized? 311 CE AD under Constantine. Didn't come on the scene till the fourth dominion of man. When we look at Daniel chapter 2, what does it say about them four dominions of man? What's going to happen to them when that stone cut out without hands by Yah hits that image of the four dominions of man in the feet and toes, pot iron, pot clay? The image starts to break up, crack up, right? From the head of gold all the way down through the feet and toes, pot iron, pot clay, right? and all four dominions of man, you understand, that image breaks up, crumbles up, and they all blown away till no parts of it remains on the face of this earth. And that stone that hits it, right? Once it hits, it starts to grow into a mountain. Eventually, the mountain will fill up the whole earth. When that process is finished, the whole earth will be the dominion of Yah. The kingdom is already Yah, right? That, like Nebuchadnezzar wrote, you understand, over there in the 4th chapter, Daniel. Like David wrote, you understand, in the 29th chapter of 1 Chronicles. The kingdom is Yah anyway. We just talking about the dominions of man, right? That Yah allowed to come on this face of this earth. That's why over in Micah chapter 4, Yah is going to come full circle. Now it's the first dominion, which was Yah's dominion on the face of the earth. Now Yah is setting up his dominion, the everlasting dominion. It's come full circle. Nothing new up under the sun. That's what Solomon wrote. Wisest man ever would be. Nothing new up under the sun. What was here yesterday will be here, is here today. And if it's to exist, will be here tomorrow. But we know everything in those four dominions of man that was conceived of, that was created, that was invented, has to go out with those four dominions of man. So that's Christianity didn't come on the scene till the fourth dominion man. Got to go out with the fourth dominion when it crumbles and cracks up, blown away. Islam, same thing, right? You follow me? Scientology, what Will Smith and Jada Pinkett is into. You know why I'm mentioning that. I'm going to get to that a little later on, right? You understand? That's going out when this fourth dominion goes out with the four dominions of man, right? Judaism that started out Hasidism came on the scene in the third dominion of man. The third dominion crumbles up and cracks up and is blown away with the fourth dominion. The second dominion, Zoroastrianism, right? The Persian dominion, right? It cracks up and crumbles with the third and the fourth dominion. The first dominion, the Babylonian dominion. You understand what I'm saying? You follow me? Was that Buddhism was created in that first dominion too? And we know they was in the Canaanite religion because they was in the Baal Baal. Right? You understand, of the Canaanite deity, the Canaanite pantheon, right? You understand? Baal Baal became the principal idol of worship, superseded its father El, and El just means strong. That's all it means. And again, this came up. People call here other week, and this brother, he was, I ain't seen strong. Where you getting that from? You understand? So it's in many places. Like I said to him, I asked him, did he have a Strong's Exalted Concordance? He said, no. Well, you should get one. Okay, and you get one. Look up strength in the Strong's. Look up strong in the Strong's Exalted Concordance, and go through it, and you'll see many places where Yah is the strength of Yisrael, right? You follow me? So he's the strong one. Is it not? There ain't no other, you understand, no other strength beside Yah. Yah is the strength. You understand what I'm saying? But I went here to bring this out. See, where was I? I was in my other book, but I gotta remember where it is now. Y'all bring it to me. But again, it's over here in Yeshaya. Matter of fact, I think it was here. And I went there because it says it's talking about the Most High, right? And how he's the strength, of Israel. And it specifically is putting forth, you gotta discern it, right? Because Esau, he's got the word hath in there. You know what? Let me do it like this. Because I definitely want all of you to see this, and I know how I did it now. I went to Strong, in the Strong's Exalted Concordance, right? And like I just said, I looked up strength, and then I looked up strong. And again, it's in many places where it lets you know that Yah is the strong one, okay? But this person was like, I don't see that anywhere. Where is that? You know what I mean? So, as I went through here, then Yah brought this, made this jump out at me. I'm pretty sure, it's just well, it's in many places. Like I've just looked at, I got some places marked. Proverbs 8:10. The name of Yah is a strong tower. You know what I'm saying? But in 28, Yeshaya, let me just read this to you. And I don't know if this is the exact place that I thought. I saw so many places. But 28 verse 2. And it says, behold, now we know the Lord is where Yah was, right? Behold, Yah hath a mighty and strong one. Okay? And this is it. This is the spot. Now, when you look at this 28 Yeshaya verse 2, it says, behold. Now, we know the Lord is where Yah was. You know, I've talked about that in the past. You know, basically where you see Lord and God, that's where the name of Yah was. Now, when it was a double, you know, like as they say, God and Lord, and this is in my Oxford, you know, Bible that I got to mention that to the brother the other week too, but he's not privy to that. That's in the, you know, up in the front of the Oxford Bible, right? Now, so his Lord, it says the Lord, that's where the name of Yah was, right? So behold, comma, Yah, now it says hath. Now, when you look up hath in the Strongs, in most places, and I do mean most, they don't have any numbers for it, but they got a few numbers for the word hath. And one of them is 1167, and then they give you the rundown. Okay? Well, when you look up 1167, it's going to say the definition is master, a master. Okay? Well, again, Lord means master. You follow me? This is for the word hath, H-A-T-H. So here in chapter 28, Yeshaya, verse 2, behold, comma, Yah, the Lord, or the master, right? A mighty and strong one. Okay? You follow me? Strong one. You understand? So for those brothers I was on the phone with, you understand? You check it out. Yeshaya chapter 28, verse 2. See? Right? Which as a tempest of hail and a destroying storm. See, that's what Yah, he all of that. You follow what I'm saying? Like a flood of mighty waters overflowing shall cast down to the earth with a hand. You follow me? Because Yah is the strong one. There is no other. There's only Yah. Okay? But like I said, you get your Strong's and South Concordance, right? And look up strength and look up strong. And then just go down to each one and just look at the different tabs how Yah is talked about the strong one. He's the strength, you understand, of all those who put their faith and trust in him. All those who are totally committed, again, circumcised in the foreskin of their heart to Yah with all their heart and soul. Deuteronomy 30 verse 2. See? Because again, he's our husband of the children of Israel, his inheritance. Right? Yah is our inheritance. Right? Egypt, his people. Right? Assyria, the work of his hand. But Israel, his inheritance. See? Because the people come to Yisrael, Yah our righteousness. The arm of Yah. Right? To, you know, learn about Yah. To get the illumination and the spirit from Yah, right? When they come to his arm, right? Because he's the spirit of all living. You follow me? To get his laws and statutes and ordinances and judgments, commandments and precepts, right? To get the illumination. Because through Yah our righteousness, his arm, he's removed the stumbling blocks. Yeshaya chapter 57. Over there in Zechariah. You understand? That's why he says for Jerusalem to break its clods. Do your work, Jerusalem. Remove the stumbling blocks. See, because again, as I've talked here the last few months about this multiple wives situation, right? Well, again, you've got a lot of men who desire many wives, but not really considering the responsibility and the obligation to each wife, right? Because the wife has to be taken care of, right? And that in the law, you know, you understand? Whatever man has one wife, right? Again, if he, is blessed to get a second wife, and we see, again, the law of two wives, do we not? He shall not diminish, right? He shall not diminish what he's been doing for the first wife if he get a second wife. Isn't that what it says? You know, and you get a lot of men. They're not. Okay, you follow what I'm saying? They're not adhering to that. You follow what I'm saying? They don't really understand the responsibility and the obligation to having one wife, let alone two. You follow what I'm saying? I mean, it's a lot of responsibility and obligation to taking care of that wife. What does it say? 21:10 Exodus, right? Let me go verse 9. And if he have betrothed her unto his son, right? This is the man that betrothed a woman, to his son, right? He shall deal with her after the matter of daughters. The man who gets for his son. If he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall not diminish. Now, again, since we touching on that, right? We've spoken about it in the past, how Esau, again, attacking the book over in Exodus, right? Where they got supposedly, right? Moshe and Aharon's father took his aunt to wife. Well, we know that's incest. See, that's covered in chapter 18 Leviticus. You can't do that. That's incest. That's, taking your near kinswoman. Okay? But that's how they got it here, right? Again, a bunch of nonsense. You see what I'm saying? Let me just read what I'm talking about. Okay, it says, let me see here. Because again, they got, they've attacked it subtly, right? Now it says, chapter 2, Exodus, right? And there went a man of the house of Lewi, took to wife a daughter of Lewi, right? And the woman conceived, bare a son. When she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him. Okay, this is talking about birth of Moshe, but it's in another spot where it gives like an overview, right, of the the father of Moshe and Aharon, and again, it's intimating that that it intimates that Moshe and Aharon were their father took their aunt, their father's were his father's sister to wife, and that ain't true. You understand what I mean? That can't be, because that's incest, right? You know what I'm saying? That's not true, right? You can't do that. That's incest. And they're trying to, what Esau is trying to do, he's trying to contaminate, adulterate, pollute, right? The covenant, the two covenanted lines, you know what I'm saying, the anointed lines, right? High priest, and the governorship line, right? He's trying to taint those two lines, see? And that's why he's got this, you know, in the book, right? Like that. But we know, again, according to Leviticus chapter 18, that cannot be done. You see what I'm saying? You know, that's incest. But this is the kind of stuff Esau has done in attacking the book. And he does it subtly. When you're reading it, see, and you really don't have your mind on the law, per se. And so you reading this, you know what I'm saying? And then you like, you know, you read it and you like, oh, wait a minute. So, you know, he took his aunt. You understand what I'm saying? But we know that that's not true. Okay, it can't be, because that's incest. Because we were told not to take on the ways of these people. You understand? When Yah brought, you understand, Israel out of Egypt, he said we ain't supposed to keep the ways of the Egyptian, right? We ain't supposed to keep none of their ways. Again, and when I say that, remember, Jeremiah chapter 10, right? They had learned the ways of the Egyptian, correct? So Yah is saying, you know, he said, you know, they had to discard all the ways of the Egyptian, and they weren't supposed to take heed to the ways of the Canaanites where he was taking them. They ain't supposed to take on none of their ways either. Okay? You follow me? Learn not the ways of the heathen. See, but this is what our forefathers did. And this is what's talked about in Ezekiel chapter 23, right? How they got, you understand, our forefathers got totally seduced in Egypt. Got turned out like a $2 whore. You understand? Learning the ways of the Egyptians. And started to embrace them. You see what I'm saying? See, so now, you know, we know, right, that you can't do that, okay? But this is why they've attacked the two anointed lines, you know, the priesthood line, right, and the white line, and the governorship line, because, again, you know, like over here in First Chronicles, right, it's telling us that, because I'm looking for it, and this escaped me right now. I know somebody will throw it up during the session, right, where it actually says, you know, it's over here in the front of Exodus, right, where it says, I thought I had it underlined. I probably do. I might just be missing it now, right, because I got these things in my head that I want to, you know, put forth to all of you, you know. But the deal is that you cannot, you know, take to wife your near kinsman. Like I say, you see this in Leviticus 18. Okay? So again, we know that this is not the case with Moshe and Aharon, and Moshe. Their father did not take their aunt to wife. And like I said, I mentioned it in the past. Okay? You can't do it. That's, you know, ain't no way that their father, you know, hooked up with his aunt. See, so that's some of Esau's mess, right? That's some of his mess right there, right? Trying to taint the high priest line and priest line, you know, trying to make it be a line of incest. Okay, now again, we see also in this First Chronicles, right? As again, you know, it was brought to my attention, talking with Jacob Yadasa, right? When you go to that First Chronicles, they've got over there, right? That in that chapter 2, right? First Chronicles. I'll just go here because I'm not seeing the other, but I know it's there. I have it, you know, I'll talk on it again more likely in the Q&A. But when you go here to First Chronicles, you know, at chapter 2, they got YHWH, right? and the sons that he bore. Then, you know, they got him hooking up with Tamar, verse 4, chapter 2, verse 4, First Chronicles. It was supposed to have been his daughter-in-law, bear him Phares and Zerah. Now, we know that that's incest. That's his son's wife. That's incest. That's like having sex with his son. You see what I'm saying? You know, just like if you know, if Moshe's and Aharon's father had taken his aunt to wife, that's like having incest with his grandfather, his father's father, because that's, you know, that's his daughter. See what I'm saying? You can't do that. That's incest. So we know these things can't be true. But that's how subtly Esau tries to attack. You see what I'm saying? The two anointed lines. You know, the two covenanted lines. You know, like we see in Zechariah chapter 4. Right? The two anointed that stand on each side of Yah. We're on the right hand, the seed of David. Right? The governorship line. On the left hand, the seed of Zadok, the high priest line. See? And again, if their father, Aharon and Moshe's father, had, you know, had them through his, you know, his aunt, then the whole Levitical line, you know, from that point on is messed up. You know what I'm saying? It's, you know, it's messed up. You know, the priesthood, the white, is messed up. See, and definitely the priesthood, the high priest line, because we know Aaron was the first high priest, and out of him come Eleazar and Phineas. Right? And Phineas, Yah made an everlasting covenant with Phineas, covenant of peace. Right? And again, Zadok comes out of Phineas. See, as Samuel came out of Phineas. And again, as I mentioned that, right? When you go to that first Samuel, right? Again, in regards to these wives situation, we see, don't we? You know, Elkanah, right? Samuel's father. He had two wives. Now, again, right? And we see that the first wife, the way it seems is Hannah, right? And then the second wife is Peninnah, you know, and we see Peninnah, she was, you know, an adversary, as it says in verse 6. She was an adversary to Hannah. Hannah wasn't adversary to her, but she was an adversary to Peninnah, right? So, you know, it is the thought too that, you know, two women in the house is going to present a problem. Now, you know, I've been said that that's human. You know, it's been said to me that that's human nature. But at the same time, as I said at the back end of the last session, you know, when you look at that Yeshaya chapter 3, right? And we know it talks about the daughters of Zion. And what does it say? And I'm just going to, you know, touch on it here. And I know all of you, if not all of you, most of you have read it, right? And when you read it, what does it go? It goes into. I'm going to pick this up at verse 12. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. Right? Hear that? Children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths. Yah stands up to plead and stands to judge the people. Yah will enter into judgment with the ancients of his people and the princes thereof, for you have eaten up the vineyard and spoil, and eaten up the vineyard, the spoil of the poor is in your house, right? And then he says, what mean you that you beat my people to pieces and grind the faces of the poor, said Yah of hosts. Again, you know, this is what we know the priesthood and the governor started doing. You know, this was intimated in 1 Samuel 8. When Yah told Samuel that when the people asked for a king, he said, show them the matter of a king, right? Okay, and then the further they went away from YHWH, Jerusalem, right? This is intimated and indicated in chapter 16 Ezekiel. That's why it's a double curse on Jerusalem, which consists of the governor seed, right? The high priest seed, the priest seed, the Levites. That's Jerusalem. And we know, again, as it says, real succinctly in the 16th chapter of Ezekiel, what the priesthood and what the governor did to the people. They allowed the people to go astray when they were supposed to keep a breach from occurring, always directing the people to Yah. See? And keeping the laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments, commandments, and precepts of Yah. That's why it's a double curse on the descendants of Jerusalem. Okay? Now we'll come back here to chapter 3, Yeshaya, right? Verse 16. Moreover, this is Yah talking. What? Moreover, Yah said, because the daughters of Zion are haughty and walk with stretched forth necks, wanting eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. Therefore Yah will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and Yah will discover their secret parts. Okay? In that day Yah will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their calls and their round tires like the moon, their chains and the bracelets and the mufflers, the bonnets, the ornaments of the legs and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings, the rings and the nose jewels, the changeable suits of apparel, the mantles and the wimples and the crisping pins, the glasses and the fine linen and the hoods and the veils. And it shall come to pass that instead of a sweet smell, there shall be stink, and instead of a girdle, a rent, and instead of well set hair, baldness, and instead of a stomacher, a girding of sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. Thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in the war, and her gates shall lament and mourn, and she, being desolate, shall sit upon the ground. Now, again, this happened to our forefathers, and it's happening again today. Okay? See, they call women, you understand, this baldness when their hair falls out, alopecia. Is that what, you understand, this Jada Pinkett Smith is supposed to have? But we see her arrogance. I see it. Right? We see her fornication because she talks about it. I've seen it since this Will Smith husband, who she's emasculated in the sight of everybody, right? Having intercourse with her sons, their son's friend, in his house, in their house. So she's defiled according to the law of Yah. But we see the arrogance in her. Like I said, I see it. Because I didn't watch the Academy Awards, right? But I saw this the next day on Democracy Now! What happened. And then I've watched it since on Jimmy Dore, what he's got on his site, taking excerpts and showing. And then I've seen where, you understand, she on her, what they call it, the round table, red table or something, podcast she's got, I saw her talking with him at her round table on her podcast about her having intercourse with their son's friend. And he's sitting there with a little old smirk on his face. And she had hair on her head then. Okay? I mean, a stack of hair on her head when she was telling him how she had intercourse with their son's friend in their house. You follow me? See? Defiled. And since then, as I just read here, what did y'all say? He did it to our forefathers in the past. He's doing them to us today. All of us who, what? And definitely these women of Zion, these daughters of Zion, right? Who haughty, arrogant, prideful, egotistical, right? I just read it here in Yeshaya chapter 3, right? Baldness instead of well set hair. When I saw her talking to him, this is some years back, when she's telling him about what she had done. Evidently, he had done this same thing, possibly before her. So now this is tit for tat. He did the tat, she's doing the tit. See? You wouldn't have intercourse with somebody else, so I'm gonna have intercourse. Now, how you like it? See, this is how it's degenerated. This is what it's come to. And I know some people in the past, as I was telling people here the other day, Yada knows this sister, I know, you understand? We discussed it way back in the past. And when she did this thing, a tit for tat, about a year and a half later, she almost got killed. Not by her husband, by some other guy. Went through a real life and death situation. Okay? And this is what, you know what I mean? Women, you understand, getting into this emotional situation. Right? Plus the fact that, they into the ways of the heathen. And like I say, this Will Smith and this Jada Pinkett Smith, they in Scientology. I heard that years ago. See? Some, religion that Esau is made up through L. Ron Hubbard. Like I said, he used to advertise that garbage back in the late 60s. L. Ron Hubbard. Scientology. Okay? It evolved into a religion. Tom Cruise, he's into that junk. You understand what I mean? And he has a couple of his wives, but they couldn't have, they left. They split up. That Nicole Kidman, she left out of it and left him. And then this last one, Katie, whatever her name is, she hooked in, and then she left, she divorced me and left out of it. You follow what I'm saying? And again, you know what I mean? So Jada Pinkett Smith's hair fell out. And I just read that, bald is still a well-set hair, baldness. They call it alopecia. That sister that's part of the squad out of Massachusetts that's hooked up with John Kerry, the Edomite, you understand, Skull and Bone boy, right? She was hooked up with him. I'm not talking about sexually. You know what I mean? I'm talking about politically. She come up under John Kerry. She was part of his staff or whatever. Now she's the representative out of Massachusetts. All her hair done fell out. She had hair back there. Now all her hair done fell out. She's supposed to have this alopecia. That's what they call it. But that's from Yah. Didn't I just read it? Chapter 3, Yeshua. See? So that's again why I said in the last session, you understand? Now, these women ain't getting along. I just cited you, Penina, how she was attacking Hannah. 1 Samuel, right? Hannah wasn't attacking her, she's attacking Hannah. Right? And we see that when you read that, Elkanah, he loved, both of them, but he really loved, he had, real heartfelt love, cleaving to Hannah. Because we see when she hadn't had any children, he gave her a double portion. Right? And he was concerned about it. But I'm sure he cared about Penina too. Y'all had given her some children. That's more than likely she's throwing this up at Hannah. She was adversarial. Right? And this is talked about there. Hannah brings this up. She talks about it in the Psalm she got over there in 1 Samuel. Does she not? See? So that's again why I said the last session, you understand, as Yah puts these women today, just like in the past, as he puts them in this situation, right? Again, you understand, these women have to kick this arrogance, this pride to the curb. As the men do too. Okay? Meekness. Humility is before honor. Pride go before a fall. See? And with the Will Smith, Jada Pinkett stuff, don't we see that? The fall? Because what Will Smith did was totally and utterly ludicrous. False pride, that pride, that garbage. See? Like my manicure said to me, she said, Israel, you think he would have done that if there had been a white person, so-called white man? I said, not only if there had been a Caucasian, if it had been an Edomite, he wouldn't have done that to either one. You follow me? See? He trying to, trying to show her, because again, if you looked at it real close, right? When Chris Rock made a joke, Will Smith was laughing, but she wasn't. So now you know, she had that arrogant look on her face. So now he gonna get up like try to defend her. It's too late, partner. Okay, that your situation there is crumbled. See, because you know she's emasculated you in the sight of everybody on the earth. Everybody that see that podcast that I saw on Jimmy Dore, you know, and that's happened when she had hair all up on her head. Why you still with her? See, so again, just like with David, why he bring McCall back? She's defiled. See, so David was wrong when he did that. See what I'm saying? Evidently, that's why David in the 40th Psalm, what he said, my sin, you know, is like the hair upon my head. See, so when I hear different ones through the years been saying, you know, I want to be like David, why? David messed up. We got to rise above that. Okay? This is why this is the book of remembrance, so that we can go in here and see where our forefathers made missteps, where they, you know, made mistakes. You understand? To tell us, don't make these same mistakes. Follow me? Just like I just said a little while ago, right? Cleanse our soul of secret faults. Keep us back from presumptuous sin. And let them not have dominion over us. Isn't that what we said? Was that the 34th Psalm? And that's why we have to keep things like that forever in our heart, in our mind, in our prayers, in our supplications to Yah. But again, never underestimate the power of prayer. But you got to humble yourself before he who creates, the Most High. Okay, we have to embrace the law, cleave unto the law, our wife, and in so doing, our husband provides for us. Yah of hosts provides for us. But if you're not totally committed and submitted to Yah, you can't expect Yah to be totally committed to thee, to you. We're supposed to be submissive to him, not the other way around. We can't give Yah 50% and expect him to give us 100%. Don't work like that. It's reciprocitous. Okay? And again, when we look at our progenitors close, that's why I would think Othniel brought up Caleb in the last Q&A. He thought that possibly was the same Caleb back there with YHWH, but it's not. You got about three, four different Calebs. You understand what I mean? Now, yeah, one of them had, I think, 2, 3 wives, but still, it don't get into what, you know, did it work or not. Now, again, we can't be presumptuous. Okay, again, we see Lamech had 2 wives. Don't get into whether they got along or not, right? Like it was brought to me, you know, Esau, the first one we see, had 3 wives, but we know the first 2 wasn't about nothing. It was Canaanite. You understand that when he went and got the wife of Ishmael, right? His 3rd wife, you know, he had them all at the same time. It don't say whether she was all about Yah or not. Don't he give it? But we know those 2 Canaanite wives he had wasn't about Yah. It was a vexation on Esau and Rebekah. Were they not? It says that. Right? That's why this is the book of remembrance, is it not? See, so even if a man has 2 wives, them 2 wives got to get along. They got to have an understanding. It can't be competitive. And like I said, it's been brought to me that that's human nature. You know, is going to be like that. Like I said, that's the way it's been. We see in the past with many of them. Yes, there are many situations. Like I said, don't get into every situation where it was multiple wives, right? But again, we see what Bathsheba said, and that's going to exist through all time. We see what Yah said in Hosea chapter 4, whoredoms and wine and new wine take away the heart, destroys the heart, right? The way of Yah is strength. When we look at our progenitors, and this can't be refuted, right? Adam had one wife. We see she messed up, but we look at that as she didn't really know the law yet. That's why she was able to be beguiled. Okay? When we look at Noah, one wife. Noah's son, one wife. Right? Abraham, one wife, but we know how the situation with him and Hagar. We know how that happened. That was Sarai's man, got ahead of Yah. We see how that turned out. Right? Acrimony. Back and forth. Right? And then, you know, Hagar was sent away. You understand what I'm saying? After Sarai transition, then Abraham got another wife, one wife, Keturah, had 6 sons by her. Like I just said in the past, they had to be around 140. You know, had 6 sons. Now in Genesis 25, Esau tries to intubate like Abraham had, you know, other concubines and sons. That ain't true. We got to know all the sons that Abraham had because they became nations. See, and again, you could look at that Genesis 25. It's just talking about what? Sarai, Hagar, Keturah, his wives. Right? But basically, he had one wife. That was his man. Right? Sarai, Keturah was Sarai transition. We know the situation with Jacob, how that came about. But we see, you know, again, it's been made paramount to me, right? Jacob Yahadaza pointed this out to me here a few years ago, right? He really loved, though all he wanted was Raquel. But we see Raquel wasn't totally committed and submitted to Yah. But for a moment, that's when Yah gave her YHWH, and then she started vacillating after YHWH, evidently, because when she bore Benjamin, Yah took her out. Didn't allow her to come back with Jacob and still be an image for those children. And then again, we can see it in her personality, because when she was dying, right, she named that child Ben-Ani, the son of my pain. She gonna let that boy go through the rest of his life. Every time he hears his name, I kill my mother. That's why YHWH Yisrael had to change it. Ben-Yamin. See? So that was, you know, the essence of Raquel's, you understand, character. Vacillating. And we see that in Proverbs, as I said before, right? We ain't supposed to meddle with those who's given the change. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. See? Right? YHWH, one wife. And as I mentioned YHWH, Othniel called here about a month or so ago. And he brought to me, since the last session, he brought me, he said, yo, you think that Yah brought this on YHWH because he possibly was prideful? I said, you know, that's a good point. You know? And as I've thought about it more, again, you know, what does it say in Proverbs? You know, foolishness is bound up into the heart of a child, right? You train up a child in the way it should go, and when it gets older, it shall not depart therefrom. Isn't that what it says? So again, YHWH was a young boy, but we know he was totally committed and submitted to the law. Why? Because Israel, when he was just Jacob yet, he wasn't Israel yet, he made him a coat of many colors. Maybe he was Israel, but he made him a coat of many colors. Because he saw over a period of time, you understand, YHWH was totally committed and submitted to the law. You know, he more likely on his father asking questions all the time about Yah. See what I'm saying? Okay, so Jacob, Israel, made him a coat of many colors to signify what? Right? As Jacob had brought to me, you know, Jacob, Yahadasa's Jacob, a few years ago, he said, he was the covenant keeper, you know, it made him the rainbow coat. I'm like, hey, I'm with that. You understand? Made him the rainbow coat to signify, after these 10 boys, I finally got one who's totally committed and submitted to Yah. Now, again, as we pointed out in the past, right, you understand, them first boys, Jacob was off center. He wasn't totally committed and submitted with them first few boys. We can see that. He didn't get back in harmony with Yah till before, right before the inception, before the inception of YHWH. That's why, again, Leah named the fourth son by YHWH. Yah be praised. Because now she's finally embraced by her husband. See, he done got past his anger, his acrimony, not looking at it, truthfully, right? Wanting to blame others like most folks do when they're having a problem. They want to blame somebody else. See, but again, we know Nicole got off center listening to his mother, knew it was wrong, that's in the book, but submitted to her will, lied and deceived his father. Now he didn't set himself up to be lied and deceived, and he got that back 7 years later through his uncle, correct? The snake, Laban. Then he exacerbated it by taking Raquel as well as Leah, who he didn't want, right? He wanted Raquel, but now he took Raquel with Leah. Now that's breaking the law again. You ain't supposed to take two sisters in their lifetime to wife. That's automatic contention. That's in the book of the law. See? Follow me? So now, he set this up for himself. It took him a few years. These first few sons was born under this contention and acrimony. See? And now, before the inception of YHWH, he acknowledged, he really saw himself, he had to humble himself. It's probably in the original book. Esau took it out of this book. You follow me? That we got. But this is an understanding. See, this is what Yah allows us to see by his spirit. This is why we counsel, right? Things are established in counsel, right? Because when we're counseling, we're playing chess. See, those who refuse and reject counsel, you playing checkers. See, and as long as you playing checkers with this book here, you ain't gonna never understand it. Because the book has been attacked and Yah has allowed it to be attacked. Why? Attacked. Why? So that we come to him humbly, implore him, plead with him to give us the wisdom and understanding we need to unravel the truth from this book that he allowed to be attacked, so that we get an understanding that we must come to Yah humbly. Humility is before honor. We have to pray. Solomon's supplication. You understand what I'm saying? And we're supposed to turn toward Jerusalem and make supplications to Yah. We've talked about this in the past, have we not? These are the things that Yah has unfolded to us over, period of time, during this journey we're on. And again, that's YHWH chapter 28, line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. Sometimes you get snared, but again, you just keep on forging ahead. You keep trusting in Yah. You keep making supplications, sending your prayers up to Yah. And he's going to, at some point, he's going to show you what the truth is. You wait on Yah continually. You don't get ahead of Yah. See? Because you get ahead of Yah, you ain't got no protection. You ain't got no shield. You've forsaken the fountain of living waters. See, that's again why Yah had said about the Demona movement, right? Over there in Demona and Mizpeh, right? It's been over there now, going, 52, 53 years, right? What did he say about them in YHWH chapter 48, the first 10 verses? He was going to intercede for them. He would refrain for them that they did not get cut off, that they would not be cut off. Because he said what? They're in idolatry. He didn't allow them to understand, lest they would give, credit to their idol. They would exalt their idol even more than what they're doing now. You understand what I'm saying? And he took their idol out, what their main idol. He took him away back, what was that, 2015? When Ben-Ami transitioned? See, but you've got others who've gone before Yah. in some shape, form, or fashion. You know, over in Egypt, that I just read to you, we ain't supposed to return to Egypt. You follow me? They out of whack. You know, wanting to call themselves priests and all this nonsense. Okay? Ain't nobody know if they a priest. You understand what I'm saying? Don't even know what tribe you from in truth. We got to wait on Yah to reveal that. And he's only going to reveal that when he returns to Jerusalem on the head of his arm, and he'll be at our rearward. 52 Yeshaya. And like he says over there in Yoel chapter 2, like I said, and again, that chapter is like upside down. You understand? He's got to reveal his mind. You understand? When he brings Jerusalem movement back and sets it in the midst of its sisters, Ezekiel 16, he's got to reveal his mind of who is what tribe, who's a priest, who's a Levite. And again, that's your remnant chapter 30. I brought that up in the last session, right? When he causes the governor to approach unto him, just like he did with Moshe. Again, Micah 7:15, like according to the coming out of Egypt. So again, you understand, when we looking at this book, why can't we counsel? Why can't we look at everything from every angle? What's the problem with that? Why would anybody have a problem with that? Okay, because I've come to see those who have a problem with looking at the book from every angle, don't want to sit and counsel. They didn't, I don't care if they have been playing chess, they just reverted back to playing checkers. See, because with checkers, it's only maybe 3-4 moves ahead, 5 moves ahead, 6 moves ahead. With chess, you got to be, you understand, 40, 50 moves. Okay? See, and you got to take the whole book into account, and you definitely got to use the law to discern. That's why, again, we know that Moshe and Aharon's father did not marry, take his aunt to wife. That's incest. Like I said, that would be like having intercourse with his father. Because that's his father's near kinswoman. Matter of fact, that'd be like having sex with his grandfather. Not his father, but his grandfather. Because that's his father's daughter. Is it not? You follow me? Just like you understand, they got, as I just read to you, they got YHWH, having intercourse with his daughter-in-law. That's incest. That's Leviticus 18, knock all that out. All you got to do is read Leviticus 18. We're not supposed to have intercourse with a near kinswoman. You understand? A near kinsman. Because again, if they got YHWH having intercourse with his daughter-in-law, that's like having intercourse with his son. Perversion. Pervert. You can't do it. See? And that's how come we know, we can see Esau's attack these areas. Trying to, again, negate and pollute, adulterate the two anointed, the lands of the two anointed, right? To stand on each side of Yah. Just like they try to, combine the two anointed lands with this Melchizedek nonsense. When you go over there to Hebrews chapter 7 in the New Testament, and you read about Melchizedek, what does it say? He didn't have father or mother. Well, if he didn't have father or mother, he didn't exist. Because that's the only way you're going to get here. Ain't nothing new up under the sun. See? That's again why you leave that New Testament totally alone. Because it's garbage. See? If one understands Deuteronomy chapter 32, you know it's garbage before you even get to it. Because it's something new. And what we told about this new stuff that was coming. See? And that's why I say Esau created this Scientology garbage here about 50 years ago, right? That Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith is into. And look at them. Look at them. See? Because again, you understand, coming back to that, right? when I looked at Jimmy Dore, you go to his site, Jimmy Dore, he showed you a clip back in 1991 on Arsenio Hall, where Will Smith is on Arsenio Hall's show being interviewed by Arsenio Hall, and he makes fun of one of the band members in Arsenio Hall's band, right, who had alopecia. He was totally bald, and he mocking him. He showed a clip of that. And when some in the audience went, oh, you know, like he shouldn't be saying that about the guy, check what Will Smith said. He said, it's a joke. Isn't that what Chris Rock said? It's a joke, man. Huh? Now, he understood that. You know, he ain't forgot that. See? But the deal was, again, when you look at it, right? When Chris Rock said what he said about her, about G.I. Jane 2, she could play G.I. Jane 2, huh? You understand the movie that Demi Moore did, where she got the buzz cut, all her hair cut off? Will Smith is laughing. But you look at her, she's sitting there with that arrogant look. She didn't like it. And so evidently when he looked at her, now he gonna get up, he gonna like protect her. So he gonna go up and do something totally idiotic and stupid, right? And smack Chris Rock. Like I said, like my manicure said, she said, Israel, if it had been a white person, he would have done it. I said, no, he wouldn't have done it. If it had been a Caucasian or Edomite, he wouldn't have done it. In case in point, I'm reading the article before Chris Rock made his, when he was up there, you know, they had like two other presenters, women, you know, that sister with the natural, I can't think of her name, and then a Caucasian or Edomite. I don't know what this Caucasian looking chick was. She might have been an Edomite or Caucasian. Before the Chris Rock situation, she made a joke when she was up there and said that she brought out about how, you understand, Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith got an open marriage where they, you know, having intercourse with different people. Now, they said when the chick made that joke, Jada Pinkett laughed out loud. Said Will Smith said he's kind of sunk in his chair. He you know, he looked uneasy because he didn't like that, right? But she laughed out loud at that. You follow? But now when Chris Rock made the joke he made, she's sitting there, you know, immediately Will Smith kind of laughed until he looked at her and saw she was sitting there arrogant, didn't like it. You understand what I mean? So he gonna get up and go smack Chris Rock. You follow me? So who running the house? Didn't I just read this in YHWH chapter 3? What's going on back in ancient time? That kind of stuff still going on today. Who running the house? Just like what Nehemiah, when he came back, read the 13th chapter. Again, I've cited it in the past. Read the 13th chapter of Nehemiah's book. What does he say when he came back? What he saw? He saw Israelite children playing in the street. He spoke to them in the Israelite language. They couldn't speak the Israelite language. They speaking the language of their mama. Right? So who running the house? These Israelite men had taken wives of another nation. Huh? They raising his children, right? In the language that they spoke. So he got to learn the language of his wife to converse with his children. Who running the house? See, because a brother, you understand, I've been knowing for years, he called me here other week. Wanted to ask him about Passover. He down in Georgia. Used to live here. And he said, Israel, he said, what's happening? He said, man, now the Passover, you know, the Passover, when is I said, when it gets dark, on the 14th, which is, you know, it's a Wednesday, right? Let me see. No, it's Thursday, right? Yeah, it's a Thursday. When it gets dark on that 14th, Thursday, then going into the 15th, that's the beginning of Passover. So I explained it all to him, right? And so we didn't talk about this before. So he said, Israel, he said, you know, I'm a vegetarian. I said, I told you this a few years ago. You gonna be about Yah. Okay, you want to be a vegetarian, you can be that until Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread. Because the Passover, you got to eat some lamb. Okay? I said, don't you remember when I told you that? You got to eat some lamb. You ain't no soy lamb, ain't no mock lamb. You got to eat some lamb that day. You ain't got to eat a lot, but you got to eat some. Now, and you got to eat the unleavened bread, which he ain't got no problem, He ain't had no problem with it. Because what happened? Check this out. This is why I'm telling you this. I said down, because his wife, she ain't committed to the Most High. He's gotten that way over the years. Over the years, like I said, we've been knowing each other about 30 years, right? And so he's gotten that way in the last, 10 years, right? Because he worked for these contractors. And he done been over to Iraq, Abu Dhabi, Kuwait. He done been all over in there working for these contractors, right? He worked on them tanks and them big trucks and stuff, them engines. You did. When I first met him 30 years ago, he was working on an engine, okay? On a go-kart, okay? That's when we first met. You follow me? And so he been all over there, and we done had conversations. I remember, you understand, before he started doing this back around 2008, you understand, we was talking. I had stopped downtown because he was working in this shoe store. He had the Edomite on it, right? And the Edomite go way back. You understand? This store, it's closed down now. They closed it down here about 8 years ago. Okay, 7, 8 years ago. They closed it out. But the Edomite that owned it, you understand, he been down there since like around 31. You understand what I'm saying? 32. He, been down there. He's known all of these athletes and whatnot. You understand? That's got them big, because that's what drew my attention when I was a little boy. I used to go past this shoe shop downtown Chicago, right? And they had the shoes in there this big. I ain't kidding you, like size 28. Okay? I'm like, who wearing that? You understand what I mean? That's what drew my attention. But they had other shoes, nice shoes, real shoes, you know what I'm saying? All kind of shoes, you understand? And eventually he ended up, they had one shoe shine chair in this store. One. And he ended up, you understand, working that shoe shine chair. Made all kind of money. It's right down there on, see, you got Wall Street in New York. Okay, well, you got LaSalle Street here in Chicago, downtown. And that's where this shoe store was, right between LaSalle and Cleave on Monroe. The name of the store was called Altman's. Okay? And I used to go in there. He was working in there. I used to go in there and get a shine when Yada used to work downtown. When she used to work for the Supreme Court, the judge, or the appeals court judge downtown, right? She was his secretary. And so I used to go down there, you understand, and pick up a lot of times, wait for I get down there early. I stop in there, get a shine, talk with my guy, right? And so his Edomites all in there. And then he calling me Israel. That's all he called me. He don't never call me YHWH. He called me Israel. Ever since we met, he called me Israel. And over the years, he heard me talk, had these conversations, right? Because I had these conversations, it was a Panamanian Edomite that worked in the store with these other regular Edomites. Now, the Panamanian Edomite had some color on him, but the other Edomites, they was pale. Like a lot of these Edomites, like the Rothschild, like the Warburgs, like the shits, because the Edomite that owned it, his name was Altman. Old guy, right? But he was cool. And I say that because when I come down there and my guy give me a shine, we get to talking, I'm waiting. You understand? I might get down there at 2:30. Y'all to get off at 4. So I'm waiting, get a chance and they're talking with him. And he then, you understand, we talking. And then, I ain't necessarily talking about the book or nothing about us, but this Panamanian, you understand, Edomite that worked up in there had some color on it. He get the probing me. And so we get to talking, right? So he pushed these buttons on me. I don't bite my tongue, so we get to talking. These other Edomites sitting around listening, okay? They don't say nothing. There's only one time one of them tried to tell me he was of the tribe of Lewis. I said, his name was Phil. I said, Phil, you ain't no Lewis. You ain't an Israelite. I said, you an Edomite. He like, what? and we got to, he got to trying to tell me he was of the tribe. I said, you ain't of the tribe of Lewis. You not an Israelite, Phil. And I laid it out why he wasn't an Israelite. he got so upset he walked out. You understand? Stayed out until I left that day. And then when I came back about a week and a half, 2 weeks later, he was gone. They told me, said Israel, some other Edomites in there said, Phil don't work no more. He went to the other store. He didn't want to see me no more. Okay? But the owner used to be on the other side of the partition when I'd be up in there. And one time I was in there, you know, I'd been there a few times. He didn't heard me talk. He came out, he looked at me, he said, "How you doing?" I said, "Fine, how are you?" He smiled at me. You understand? Because again, his daughter used to come up in there and help him because he was in his 80s, early 80s. She used to come and help him. She's an adult, you know what I mean? And she get to pushing my buttons, we talking. And I can't tell you what she was saying. You know, she said it with a smile, but you know, they couldn't refute it. You follow me? And again, she was, you know, she was nice to me per se. You understand what I mean? Because they know it's the truth. You follow me? You see? And they was Edomites. You understand? See? And again, you know, I'm uplifting y'all righteousness, and they closed down. Right? It's been some other businesses, Edomite businesses I've gone through the years. And I show them, you know, the y'all righteousness, you understand, tax exemption or whatever, and after a while they close down. I'm telling you, this is no joke. Okay? But my guy, when he called here the other week, he asked me about the, you know, Passover. So I'm telling him, you understand what I'm saying? And so when he got to, you know, I said, you know, you got to take all of the leavening out the house. I said, now, you know, since you done told me your wife, she ain't about it, she might have a problem taking all the leavening out. You know what he said to me? He said, "Israel, this is my house. I run my house." You know what I said to him back? I said, "Brother, that's all I wanted to hear." I said, yeah, that's all I wanted to hear. Okay? And I'm glad you said that. That's what I told him. That's all I wanted to hear. And I told him, that's what you got to do. You know, you got to take all the leavening out. Everything with leavening, you got to take it out. You understand? Before that night of the 15th, which starts when it gets dark Thursday. You know, of the the 14th, when it gets dark. I explained it to him like I've explained it to all of y'all. Right? You follow me? See? So that's next Thursday night. When it get dark, that's Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread begins. You got to have some lamb, some bitter herbs, some unleavened bread. You have to have taken all the leaven out your house, anything with leaven in it. And that's the beginning of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, right? You understand? And you eat some unleavened bread every day for 7 days in a row. Okay? See, because another brother, you understand, he been calling about 13 years. And about the first eight and a half years, he was adversarial to me, right? But about the last 2.5 years, he didn't change. You understand? And I mentioned this to him here, you understand, earlier this, matter of fact, last week, because he called last Friday. You understand? And matter of fact, last Thursday. And we talked. And the last few times, about the last 3 months, he been calling, you know, because he been calling kind of regular about the last year and a half. He been calling kind of regular, right? And he on the West Coast. And when he hear this, he gonna know what I'm talking about. Yes, Dad. And so here about 2.5 months ago, he brought to me like, "Yudah, you know, he brought this about this town." He said the name, and so he said, "You know, this is Tarshish." You know what I mean? And he knows I had said, you know, that you know, the sons of Israel and other people was going to come from Tarshish or Spain, you know, after the movement, Yah has been established, you know, Yah has been established in Jerusalem, and the temple's built, sacrifices on. This is the second gathering. So he was, you know, bringing this to me, like taking issue with that. He said, you know, well, this here is that's Assyria. This town, I forget the, you know, the name. It's Assyria. So I said, "Oh, well, you know, let me check." Because when he called that particular day, I think I was cooking or something. We were getting ready to eat though. So I said, I'll check it. We talked. So then I checked it. He called back, you know, about a week later, maybe not quite. Then I said, you know, now this town, I looked it up. This is in Assyria, bro. This ain't Spain. He said, "Oh." I said, "Check it out. This town is in Assyria." So he said something, and because I can't remember it all just verbatim, but I said, "Well, you know what happened when they brought these people down from the land of the Medes, you understand what I'm saying, and brought them down into the area of the seven and a half tribe, right? when the 7.5 tribes was carried away, 722, 721 BCE. Shalmaneser the third, Sargon the second, right? I said, you know, these people that they brought there was serving their idols. Yah sent lions in on them. And when the lions started attacking them, they came to the understanding this is happening because we know not the way of Yah, the strong one of the land, right, of Israel. So they sent for priests from up there in the land of the Medes, brought them down, right, to teach them the way of Yah. So what does it say? Yah stopped the line, but they feared Yah, but they still served their idols. Kind of like today in a lot of instances, right? So he said, yeah. So he called back another day. You understand? He like, you remember when you told me that? He said, but you know, these priests were the priests of Jeroboam. So I'm like, no, bro. That would happen with Jeroboam was 200 years earlier. That's in the latter part of the 10th century BCE. This is the latter part of the 8th century BCE, like almost 200 years later. So this ain't the same priest. So he like, oh, okay. So he said, but you know, Yehuda, and it might have, that ended, we talked about something else. Then he called back another day. He said, Yehuda, he said, you know what you told me them was priests? He said, but Yehuda, they wasn't about Yah. I said, no, they weren't. That's why they was taken up into the land of the Medes. He said, well, how could they send for them and they be brought back to teach them the way of Yah? I said, look, bro, you understand? It's just like a child. And it didn't Yah, you understand, parallel us as a nation like a child? Isn't that what it said over there in Hosea 11:1? You know, you understand? I call Israel my son. I called him out of Egypt. You know, I called my child out of Egypt. You understand? We was like a child as a nation in understanding, right? I said, okay, so what does it say in Proverbs? When you train up a child in where it should go, when it gets older, it shall not depart therefrom. Doesn't it say that? All right. So at times, you got to apply the rod to a child's behind to drive that foolishness out of their heart. Doesn't it say that? He like, yeah. I said, okay. So now they went astray from Yah, and Yah put the rod on them and had them taken up, you understand, that bunch in 7, you understand, 22, 21, you understand, the bulk of them 7.5 tribes, you understand, had them taken up into the land of the Medes, right? Where the 2.5 tribes, Reuben, Gad, and the half tribe of Manasseh had been taken up in 741 by Tiglath-Pileser III Pul, right? First Chronicles chapter 5, right? You understand? And what you see in actuality talked about in Yeshaya chapter 7. You understand? You understand? Ahab hired Pul, Tiglath-Pileser III, you understand, to come and aid him. He didn't go to Yah. He went to Tiglath-Pileser III, the Assyrian. He came, the Assyrians came, but they had Ahaz, should I say. Ahaz wasn't strengthened by it, right? And again, he was an idolater. We know that story, right? Okay, so Pul took the 2.5 tribes that was on the other side of the Jordan up into the land of the Medes, right? All right, took them all, right? Okay, as it says in First Chronicles 5, where their descendants are to this day, right? Okay, now, when the other 7.5 tribes left away from Yah and got so egregious, then Yah brought Shalmaneser III in 725 BCE, put him under siege for 3 years, broke him in 722. Then he started having them carried up in the land of the Medes by the river goes on in Habor. You in there, right? So-called 2 Kings, what's that, chapter 17, right? You understand? Second book of the governors, chapter 17, right? Okay, now we know all the tribe of Dan was taken. But the bulk of the other 6.5 tribes was taken, but not all of them, because we see in 2 Chronicles 30, you had a remnant that escaped. And you got to go to 2 Chronicles chapter 30, as we said in the past, and 2 Chronicles chapter 34. And remember, it's 100 years difference between those two chapters, right? And the bulk of them was taken up, but you get a remnant that escaped, came back in on the land, but they never came back to Yah. You remember chapter 3, verse 7, right? Okay, now, it's just like a child. They knew the way of Yah, but they wasn't doing it. See, the priest, they knew the way of Yah that had been carried, but they wasn't doing it. Okay, so now Yah whipped they behind. So now when they sit back up there to the land of the Medes saying, hey, send us some priests down here that know the way of Yah, that teach the people down here the way of Yah. So now they've been humbled. Some of the priests been humbled because they got their butts whipped. Like you got to do a child when you training it up. You follow me? That's why these children today are so foul. Because they're not getting any training. They ain't even getting the kind of training that, you understand, people my generation, you know, I'm 71. You understand? And people of my generation, a little younger than me, a little older than me, was getting. You follow me? Because now, about the last 40 years, do you understand? Definitely about the last 30, these children ain't getting no kind of raising now. They getting raised by the TV and the smartphones. And a lot of these parents today, you understand, they thinking, you understand, we can't raise children like we was raised because we'll lose them. I heard some of these, you understand, these retired NBA players, you understand, like Gilbert Arenas and Matthew Barnes and Steven Jackson talking this kind of stuff. And for those of you out there that know some sports, you know, I watched that The Best of the Smoke, that Matthew Barnes and Steven Jackson MC. That's their show on cable. I watched Gilbert Arenas and them talking about these children, how you can't raise children like they was raised because they say you'll lose them. I heard Gilbert Arenas say, yeah, he got 4 children. He said him and his wife, though, divorced. He said when he go pick up his children with him, he got to go to 4 different restaurants in town to feed because they all want something different. Can you believe that? So who running the house? It's the children. Didn't I just read this in YHWH chapter 3? Children are thy oppressors and women rule over you. See? Because they have no guidance. That's what this law of Yah gives us. Guidance, direction. See? Absolute guidance and direction. You follow me? That's why these children are all messed up. Think they supposed to have their way. Think you supposed to do what they want you to do. They ruling you. You supposed to be the father or the mother. They telling you what to do. See? That's what's going on today. That's why these children are so foul. It ain't all of them, but it's a lot of them. You understand? And they in bad shape and they in trouble. See? So again, you follow what I'm saying? But when my guy told me, he said Israel. That's what he called. He said Israel. I run my. I said I hear you. That's what I want to hear. Glad you said that. See, follow me. That's where the man has to be. And any woman that doesn't want to be with the man that's about Yah, that's exercising the laws and statutes, ordinances, judgments, commandments, and precepts of Yah, you're supposed to part from him. The same with the woman. Any man that don't want to be about Yah with all his heart and all his soul, you're supposed to depart. I talked about this in what's called decision time, when the sessions we was doing with Mark years ago, didn't it? You know, because Sister Yakoya, she told me she loved that decision time. A lot of people like it. Because that's the real deal. That's what you got to do. See? Simple as that. We have to be about the wife of our youth. And what is that? What did the children of Israel say? And that's a covenant that they entered into when Yah brought our forefathers out of Egypt, that still exists today, and it will exist 100 trillion years from today with the children of Israel. That's for those who was there then and those who were not there, who was to come, right? We have to keep the laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments, commandments, precepts of Yah, our righteousness, the King. That's our wife of our youth. We have to cleave unto the wife of our youth. Those laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments, commandments, and precepts with all our heart and all our soul. Deuteronomy 30 verse 2. And in so doing, our husband, Yah of hosts, reciprocity. He will take care of us. We give him 100%. He gives us 100%. Humility is before honor. Meekness, not weakness. Meekness. And meekness does not mean weakness. We're confident unequivocally in Yah, our righteousness, the King. He who creates, the strong one. And again, go to YHWH chapter 28, verse 2. That hath, H-A-T-H, look it up in your strong. You'll see 1167. It means a master. And so that's where Lord was. Esau tampered with it, as he's tampered with a lot of the book. But this is what Yah reveals to us continuously and continually. He keeps revealing. And we counsel. Things are established in counsel. See? There's nothing that we shouldn't be able to discuss. You follow me? In regards to this book, in regards to anything, and applying this book, this law too. Okay?